guys, PIEGUYRULZ here, and welcome back to the recast. I am joined, as always, by everyone's favorite Jolly Green Giant, Monsters Horatio Review.
Hey, what's up?
And this week we are joined by the ever-elusive NICKtendo.
Hello everyone, NICKtendo here, and yeah, I'm here. I guess I'm not really elusive, but...
You're
Why
elusive.
do you say that?
You were the hardest guest to book on this show.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My weeknights have been really busy these past couple months.
It's all right, man. I'm not trying to shame you. I'm just saying you're high in demand. We booked Chugga easily. We booked like everyone else. It was no problem. Everyone was like, yeah, we'll do it. And then Nick, we were like, oh man, we got this great idea for it. And you're like, busy.
I'm sorry.
Nah, it's all good. We're happy to have you here.
Well, I'm happy to be here.
And you're a pretty big Simpsons fan, correct?
Oh yes, very big Simpsons fan. No, actually, plot twist. This is the first episode of The Simpsons I've ever watched. I don't really know much about the show. Just kidding. No, just kidding.
I say because Monsters is... You're relatively new to The Simpsons, correct?
Yeah, no, this is, like, these two episodes are probably in the 10 maximum episodes I've watched of the show.
Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So today we do have two Simpsons episodes to talk about of the, probably maybe like 13, 15 Christmas specials they've done over the years.
Yep.
We're doing 'Tis the 15th season and 'Tis the 30th season, which kind of hoping that they had more in common, but they should still be pretty interesting to talk about. We didn't want to announce it those weeks ago because, I mean, 'Tis the 30th season could have come out and been like just, I don't know, not interesting to talk about, or I don't know. Maybe we wanted to go with something else, but I watched it and I made the final decision. We go forward with this one. But yeah, so we've got other stuff going on the show today. We've got some interesting stuff that we watched this week. A very eclectic mix of news, and a pretty sweet question. But firstly, Nick, how are you doing today?
I'm tired. It's been a really long day. I went to the movies today. I left really early. I played Smash Ultimate for the first time.
Yo!
I got it last week, but I had some friends over and we just played a couple matches. I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the new characters, but I don't really have a play style or strategy. I just like playing it because it's fun. But
Oh, you probably play with items on.
No, we didn't play with items on. I was playing with friends, and whoever had the controller put every single stage in Omega mode, so we're legit.
You have good friends then. No, yeah, we'll talk a little bit about Smash soon, because Smash was out by the time of last week's episode, I think, but we hadn't played it but when we were recording. But Monsters, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm also very tired, and I also just got back from the movies.
Is there something you guys want to tell the audience?
Go see Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
Please go see it. There doesn't need to be any more movies ever made. This is the only movie you need to see. It's good.
All right, well, you heard it here. NICKtendo got Infinity War Part 2 canceled. There's not going to be an Endgame.
No, who needs Endgame? We really don't need Endgame. I don't need to see how it ends.
I had one of those. I've had this experience a few times, but like, you know how Marvel really overplays their humor?
No, Marvel is beautiful and fantastic and has no problems ever.
Right. Yep. Every single movie they produce is perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, like, sometimes they really play out the humor, sometimes at the expense of emotional moments, but like every single moment has little subtleties and comical moments. And there was a girl sitting behind me who just like laughed at the smallest things that maybe like warranted a chuckle, but she was like laughing out loud. Like there's a part where Miles Morales like hops over a fence and then he like stumbles, and she was like for like 10 seconds straight, and I was like, really? Like, this is your standard for comedy?
Monsters,
Nick, were you sitting,
I have something to tell you.
Was that you? Nick,
yeah, no, that wasn't
you?
a girl, that was me. I'm sorry.
Huh.
Well then.
Well, I do have a similar point to make. I did enjoy a lot of the simple intricacies, especially in the visual style. This is by far the best looking animated film in a really long time. It got me excited about animation. And I don't know, I hope it pays off. The theater I saw it in wasn't extremely packed, which is a little disappointing for opening night, but I saw it in 3D, so I don't know if in 2D it was more popular, but we'll have to see.
I'm sure we've already had people tune out, but just so everyone knows, we're not going to be talking about spoilers for that movie today. I haven't seen it.
So next week on the recast.
Yeah, no, seriously. Next week we are probably going to go into like a pretty deep discussion on Spider-Verse, because I know Shadow has seen it or is going to see it, and I'm going to see it. Monsters has seen it. Hopefully Kuro will have seen it, or we'll tell him to mute himself. But yeah, but the long and short of it is you guys both recommend it?
Yes.
Oh, heck yeah.
Pay money and go see Into the Spider-Verse.
I also got a free set of earbuds.
Monsters, those weren't free. You just stole someone's earbuds.
You're right.
I stole the pair of 3D glasses they gave me, and I didn't really think about it. Now I feel kind of bad.
You know, I found out that in my parents' basement is basically like a time capsule to my high school years.
Ooh,
like
that sounds disturbing and terrible. I'm so sorry.
Well, I mean, some of it was, yes. But no, but I actually forgot that I kept time capsules every year of just like things I did in the year. And one of the big things is like movie tickets. I found the movie ticket to The Last Airbender.
Oh no.
Like, no joke, I have that movie ticket. I also found the one for Toy Story 3. But yeah, no, I don't know. I mentioned that because I also had a pair of 3D glasses in there too that I had taken. Yep.
So, Mr. Pieguy, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Yesterday I spent my entire day, like I said, because I've kind of found a time capsule. I spent my entire day sorting through Pokemon cards because I have thousands of Pokemon cards. It's like a little embarrassing.
Yeah.
But the upshot is that like I was sorting through them, and I believe I have about a few $100 worth for selling. Like that's what I was doing. I was just looking up price guides. Like I have a shiny Rayquaza that's worth I think $50. I think I still have to kind of verify it towards like what it's selling. But you could sell these cards back to like these large distributors that then resell them. So that's pretty cool. I might have a few $100, get rid of some old stuff, and then I can sell the bulk. Like you could sell like the common and boring cards in bulk for some decent cash apparently too. And then tonight I played in a Magic draft and I lost twice.
Oh.
And then I got a bye because we had 11 people, and 11 people is not great for drafting or anything competitive where it's one-on-one. But I had a good time. So I'm doing good. I'm in a good mood.
Okay, so when you said you were at a Magic tournament, I've been listening and I'm aware of that going on. But in the Discord server, when you said I'm gonna be at a draft tonight around till 10:30, I had no idea what that meant. So I'm like, what is he doing tonight?
Well, you see, I got picked to go to war, my friend.
Wow. It happens. I get it.
Yeah.
The war against magicians.
The war on reboots.
That's an eternal war. We're always fighting, my friend.
This podcast is propaganda.
I mean, it really. That's what this podcast is. No, draft. Basically, it's a form of Magic the Gathering, or I believe they have it in other card games too, where instead of coming in with a pre-made deck, you get 3 packs of cards, and then you open up a pack, take one card out, pass the rest of them to the left, and then you get a pack of cards or the rest of the cards passed from the right, and you take a card out each time. You go around and around, and basically at the end you have enough cards to make a 40 card deck. You basically it's a fun way to play because especially in Magic, like people have like $900 decks like that are full of rare cards that are powerful and are just going to sweep the heck out of you if you're just someone who's just casually playing. But in drafts, everyone comes in with the same kind of pool of cards, so no one can like basically buy their way into winning, and it also tests you a lot in terms of your deck building skills.
Oh, so it's just more about strategy?
Yes. Well, and the term draft comes from you're drafting the cards out of a pick. Like, you know, you have 15 cards, you pick one, you draft it on your team, and then you move the rest of the cards down the line.
Cool.
I highly recommend it. If you're ever interested in kind of getting into Magic, drafting is kind of the way to go, because it teaches you a lot, and it's like much more. You're starting with a smaller pool of cards than if you were to build like a standard deck or a modern deck or whatever. Not to get too much into Magic, but I really, really love the game. I've gotten very much into it lately, and yeah, it's a fun thing to do on Friday nights. The place I go to has it for pretty cheap on Friday, and you get 4 packs for about $12, and then you get to play a bunch of rounds, and if you win, you get prizes, and yeah.
Cool.
All right, well, yeah. So we watched stuff in the past week aside from Spider-Verse. Monsters, did you watch anything other than? I want to make a joke about you being tired because you've been really busy. I was gonna say the back of your eyelids, but I don't think that makes sense. Did you...
I've watched a few things. I watched Up again recently.
Oh,
the Pixar movie.
Oh, really? Because I was thinking like the obscure, 1943 movie about the sky.
Did you make that up?
Yeah, I did. If you say Up, I'm gonna think the Pixar movie, of course.
Yeah. Anywho.
Yeah.
It's it's a good movie. It's probably not in my favorite Pixar movies, but I still really enjoy it.
Did you cry?
No.
Wow, Monsters. I didn't know you.
I lack emotional depth.
Which was more emotionally satisfying, Sausage Party or Up?
Yeah. But
are you how do you feel about like what makes it not one of your favorite Pixar movies? I'll ask that.
Well, when I think about my favorite Pixar movies, usually what comes to mind is Finding Nemo.
Ratatouille? Yes.
No, Ratatouille, obviously. No, but like, I love Monsters Inc., Finding Nemo. Not really a fan of Toy Story 2. I know, controversial opinion, but I like the first Toy Story and Toy Story 3.
Really?
I don't know. Like, obviously, like with Up, the opening is such a gut wrencher, and it's such a powerful way of storytelling. And it's clear that Carl Fredricksen has like an arc, because he starts out as this really grumpy, stubborn, isolated, lonely guy, and then by the end of the movie, he's very friendly, he's very outgoing, and obviously he has people around him now, like Doug, Doug the dog, and
the
Russell.
Yeah, the thing that gets me about the movie, I still enjoy it, but it does kind of fall into that like. It has such a powerful opening, and it has such kind of a up in the air narrative in just terms of like it doesn't try to kind of nail things down too much. Like it's you don't know where it's going, basically. Like he starts his adventure with the kid, and he's talking to the kid, and then he's up in the air and all that stuff. I like all that, and then it's just like you got to have a villain and the talking dogs that are. I don't mind Doug, but like the villain talking dogs and the squeaky voice, it just kind of like it starts off on such a high point, and then it's like, well, now we're still a kids movie, remember? And It's like you don't have like I feel like a movie like Up could have done really great without a villain.
Right. There's a lot of Pixar movies where it's very much like a fish out of water journey, like Finding Nemo or even Toy Story. But like the thing is, when you're on that ride, like, it's full adrenaline pretty much the entire way through. Whereas I feel like with Up, there's a lot of low points and some points that drag and where you lose interest.
Yeah, I mean, it really is once he kind of like lands, once they land, it just kind of starts to become this entirely different movie with the bird and the talking dog and then the villain. And like, I don't know. I mean, I remember the first part of that movie very, very vividly. The rest of it, it's just kind of like, it's not bad. Like, I wouldn't say it's bad. It's just like they kind of had a chance at a really, really powerful story through and through. If they had employed the same type of storytelling they used in the first bit throughout the whole movie, I think it could have been like the best Pixar movie.
Yeah, I haven't seen the movie in a couple of years, but I know that the second, I guess the Acts 2 and 3 definitely employ more comedy and action based storytelling.
Squeaky voice dogs.
Yeah. And it strays away from the emotional core that was the complete and utter focus of Act 1, I'd say. And
right.
That's kind of... There's a bit of a dramatic shift in going from Act 1 to Act 2. Not like the transition itself, just when looking back on it, you're like, well, I mean, the first part of the movie was good, but, you know, the second part is... you could do without it, you know? I feel like if you started watching Up in the middle of the night, just on a whim on Netflix or whatever, and you get past the first like 15 minutes and the house lands and you're like, you know what, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, I can call it a night. That seems like a reasonable decision.
Yeah.
Right.
It's kind of interesting that Pixar, I don't know if it's a trend, but like you think about Finding Nemo as well, where it's like both Up and Finding Nemo have an opening bit that like almost is kind of detached from the rest of the movie. Like not that like the opening bit in Finding Nemo, obviously it's very, very important. It's why Marlin is overprotective. It's why Nemo is has the lucky fin, all that stuff. But it just kind of has a very different like tone of like this intense barracuda attack that you don't necessarily, I mean, you see kind of glimpses of really serious moments like that the rest of the movie, but it's just kind of like they both Up and Finding Nemo kind of put that first foot forward, and then I feel like Finding Nemo really does a great job of following it up and still having a great movie through the rest of it, whereas Up is down.
Well, yeah, a lot of the other parts of Finding Nemo are just like they keep up the intensity with like the tortoises, I think they are, and like the dentist's office where he's with that part. It's just like it's so memorable.
Yeah, Finding Nemo is a much better balanced movie in terms of all of its action set pieces, and pretty much every single character on the journey is memorable. It's a road trip movie. I think that's what helps it a lot. So there, you can just jump from location to location and character to character. Up is a lot more barren. It just doesn't it just take place in like a canyon?
That's a bad pun. That is a bad pun.
I didn't even realize it was a pun.
Because of his wife.
Oh.
Wow, Nick.
I'm sorry. I was thinking because it takes place in like a desert, doesn't it? Or a jungle?
Paradise Falls.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. It's more of an oasis, but whatever.
Are you guys with me on the divide of like Incredibles v Finding Nemo? Because I think Finding Nemo is better than The Incredibles.
I think so too.
There's two kind of people in this world. You have to be one or the other.
I swear I haven't seen one of those in a while. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. PIEGUYRULZ. If I remember years and years ago, I remember watching a video you made about your favorite Pixar movies. It's probably extremely outdated at this point, but I think you said... didn't you say Toy Story 3 was your favorite?
Did I? No, Finding Nemo was back then
really?
too.
Okay.
I mean,
okay.
I could possibly be wrong, but also if I said Toy Story 3, it's probably biased because that was very recent.
Yeah.
Because that was about 2013. I made that video, but no, Finding Nemo is my favorite. But even still, even if Toy Story 3 was, I love Incredibles, but I like those are the two movies that were made around the same time, and I always remember the story about like they thought Incredibles was the big. That's what they were putting all their effort into, and Finding Nemo was kind of like the little underdog film they were working on, like in the background while Brad Bird was directing his like epic superhero tale. And to me, it's just Finding Nemo blew it out of the water. But Incredibles is a very good, very, very good movie. The first one. Anyway.
You not a fan of the sequel?
Oh God, don't make me talk about this again.
Jack.
All right.
Yeah. There's a great. Hey, someone made a great video out there. I think it was Nitpicks or I don't know one of those movie critique channels made a great video that explains how I feel. But anyway, Nick, did you watch anything interesting this week aside from Spider-Verse?
Well, I've been putting together a best of 2018 episodes list. It's 2018. Which I did one last year. It went pretty well. I'm not sure when I'm going to be able to get this one out, but I'm just watching a variety of different stuff. And one thing I want to mention that might pique your interest is one episode I'm considering putting on the list is it's not from a cartoon, so it kind of breaks my own rules. But it's Scooby Natural, the Scooby-Doo crossover with Supernatural.
Nice.
Did you see that?
I have not yet.
Oh, it's on Netflix with Supernatural, It's if you like dig into the current season they have on there, it's up.
That was one of the ideas that I think me and Monsters were kicking around for when we did Scooby-Doo, is we could potentially do that and like an episode of Scooby-Doo that was similar.
Well, actually, that's completely perfect for a Scooby-Doo recast episode, because the whole thing, the characters from Supernatural are not just transported into a generic Scooby-Doo episode, they're transported into an actual episode from Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? Like, every single character and set piece is taken from the episode A Night of Fright is No Delight. Yeah. Which is pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's actually a lot surprising. I was expecting it to just be kind of a no boundaries parody of Scooby-Doo, like, oh, we're gonna have swearing and blood, but they don't really. The way they do the parody is it feels more like Zombie Island than like I would say the Scooby-Doo movies, where that was like making a point to have things be different. Like I remember, like in the live action Scooby-Doo movie, Daphne's like this really into karate because she's not like the old Daphne you used to know. And I guess that movie was like halfway between parody and I guess just close to the source material. But this keeps the characters firm and everything else around them is weird. So it does feel like a throwback to like the weird stuff that Warner Brothers did with Scooby-Doo in the 90s.
Like the Johnny Bravo crossover?
Yeah, that kind of stuff. Like, just like that. And you don't need to know anything about Supernatural, because I sure didn't, and I had a blast.
I'll definitely be checking that out at some point, if not for the recast, then in general.
Cool. So yeah, I watched some other stuff. I watched the Simpsons episodes for this week. I am prepared. I actually watched the 'Tis the 15th season with the commentary last night. Because it's look
at you. Yeah,
it's on the FX app. If you can watch all the episodes with the audio commentary taken from the DVDs. And I'll just mention it now so I don't have to mention it later. There was pretty much nothing to note. Like sometimes you'll get some really interesting insight into like, this thing was cut, or we had this idea that we wanted to do, or here's a funny story about this moment that happened like 15 years ago. But one
of my favorite bits of the commentary is actually from another Christmas episode, Marge Be Not Proud, where they talk about how the guest star, the guy who plays like the
I actually listened to that commentary a while back.
Yeah, because they talk about how like, I mean, I think he's passed now, so they didn't have a problem saying it, but like he was really hard to work with, and they were like afraid of him in the writers' room. Yeah, like because he's like this big like cigar smoking like old tough guy.
Pretty much exactly like his character in the episode.
There was a great. He says they do a gag in the episode where he talks to the answering machine like he's actually having a conversation, and they say the actor didn't understand the joke, so they had to write lines on the other side of the phone to get the guy to say it because he didn't because he didn't understand it, he didn't want to.
Some of my favorite audio commentary for Simpsons episodes are like the clip show episodes where if you don't know about the process that the clip show episodes were done, they were forced upon the creators they had to get like meet a quota of shows to do a year, and they really didn't want to do them, so they just keep talking. They just kind of refuse to talk about the episodes sometimes because they're so ashamed of it.
Yeah. I also love the episode with A Star Is Burns with the critic.
Yes, John Lovitz is on that one.
Yeah,
he's
and
hilarious.
Matt Groening did not want to be on it.
Right.
Matt Groening is notably very against doing a Simpsons crossover.
Well,
at the time. At the time, yeah. Well, he might still be. I don't know. Who knows how much say he gets over anything anymore?
He's the executive producer.
What is that? Executive producer could mean anything from. I mean,
I guess I'll mention it. When I was watching the 'Tis the 30th season, there was like I was just casually looking at the credits because the episode wasn't doing much for me, but I'll get to that.
Hey, save it. Yeah.
But there were like 10 executive producers like flashing on the screen. Like I have never noticed that.
Yeah.
Like, there were so many, they just kept coming.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, in film, at least, executive producer could mean anything from this guy gave us $1,000 to this guy like was instrumental in making this movie like happen.
Yeah.
Like this was the guy that produced it. He put it together. But executive producer credit, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Who knows? Like,
there's a joke on Futurama about that. About executive is just a title to make people seem more special. And
and then
and then the credit just appears on screen. Executive producer Matt Groening. But we're not talking about Futurama. I think should we?
Well, not yet.
Yeah,
not yet.
Not yet.
So I watched. This will probably be the last week I talk about this because I know I've been talking about it a lot. But I've been watching Animaniacs. I got to the Christmas episodes. So just very briefly, there's 2 episodes back to back in the first season that are Christmas episodes. The first one is a Christmas Carol parody, which honestly, it was kind of like. What's kind of funny about it is that the executive producer, the head of Warner Brothers plots, he fires the security guard for failing to catch the Warners, and then and it's like Christmas Eve or something, and then the Warners come and haunt him. But what's funny about it is that like the Warners haunt him and like make him out to blame for firing this guy, but like really it's the Warners' own fault. He got fired because he couldn't catch them. That's his entire job, and he couldn't do it. But the Warners take no responsibility. No, it's the boss. That's his problem. Also, the security guard is married to a wife that looks like exactly like him and talks like him. So. I don't know. After that, they had a Little Drummer Warners, which was basically they were at Jesus's birth and they played drums, and every line was followed by "Parumpa-pum-pum." It was not very great, but the second episode had a "'Twas the Night Before Christmas" parody, and that one was really good. They had all the cast together on the back lot, like celebrating Christmas and shenanigans, dirty jokes, good stuff. I really like that one. And then I also watched the Pinky and the Brain Christmas special since last week's guest recommended it, Joey. He recommended that one, and I gotta say, I really like Pinky and the Brain. Like, the thing is that on Animaniacs, the Pinky and the Brain shorts only end up lasting like 7 minutes or 11 minutes. There's at least one that's 22 minutes, but in general, they're pretty short and they're gag based because that's kind of what Animaniacs is in general. But on Pinky and the Brain, the stories are a little more story focused. There's in fact like a 3-parter that's like an hour and a half long episode at some point. This one is 22 minutes. And so instead of just kind of being like, here's a plot and then gag, and then episode over, it kind of goes through the whole workings of they start off in Acme Labs and they're talking about Christmas, and then the Brain unveils his plan, and then they go work for Santa as elves, and then the Brain tries to slip in his blueprint for like his mind control dolls so that Santa makes them. And it's actually a pretty clever plan. But so Santa makes them and then delivers them to everyone. And it's really good. It's pretty funny, and it's got like it does have a really like sappy, heart-wrenching moment at the end that really kind of did genuinely get me, where Brain realizes that the thing Picky's been on about has not been childish. It was actually pretty selfless, and I don't want to spoil it, but that one was really good. I recommend it. And then lastly, what I really wanted to talk about was, this is not technically Christmas, but it takes place in the snow, and I remember Cartoon Network airing it like all the time at Christmas, I believe. Wacko's Wish. Do you guys know anything about Wacko's Wish?
What's Animaniacs?
Oh, isn't it a TV movie?
Yeah, it is.
I forget how young you are. Yeah. So basically, after Star Warners, the episode we talked about a few weeks ago, like a few years later, they did this TV movie thing, and it's like, okay, so you have this really, really gag-based show that's off the wall, crazy jokes, and especially the Animaniacs themselves. Like, they very, very scarcely star in anything that's less than, like, completely insane. This is a movie about Dot having a terminal disease, and they live in a town that's filled with poverty, and like, there's this whole opening sprawl about how, like, the kingdom used to be ruled by, like, kind of benevolent rulers, which were the Warner's parents, but then this evil king took over, and poverty and taxation and like all this other stuff that it's like, what's going on? This is Animaniacs. Why are we have like this really sappy thing where it's like Dot's dying and she's like, tell me the story again. And then Yakko tells her a story about how like in the garden all these flowers bloomed and through the prettiest one came Dot. Like it's surreal to see these characters in a more like serious storyline. Yeah, I didn't hate it, but it's like the weirdest way to send off these characters. I wasn't a huge fan.
I'm not sure if you looked this up, but was the original writing staff from the show involved? Because it seems like that may be why it has a completely different tone.
I think they were. I don't. Every so often, Animaniacs would do something a little more serious, like The Flame, but it just I don't know. Like there's a section of the movie where the Animaniacs are torturing the evil king, and that feels like an Animaniacs episode, but everything else from like just the way the story is told, and just the subject matter and everything. And it's not like a dead serious movie, but the opening especially is really like uncharacteristically serious. And then like the songs go on and on through it, the whole thing. Like there's this one song that they just refrain over and over and over again. But yeah, all right. You guys ready to move on?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. So, in the news section here, the first thing we have is something that was actually taken down. So, on Twitter, CN Confessions tweeted out that there's this Cartoon Network new in 2019 sizzle reel that is supposed to be coming out at some point, but apparently they have like a rough version of it that my best guess is that like someone submitted it, someone worked on this, like an intern or someone,
the story that
and then
I
sent
heard,
it.
Sorry. The story that I heard was that this was posted on Vimeo, likely by some editor, and maybe it's like a test or something, and it wasn't. It was taken down afterwards. Cartoon Network removed pretty much all evidence of it afterwards, like a day or so later, including any videos that had screenshots of it.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, so it was definitely a mistake because everything in the footage itself is clearly unfinished. There's unfinalized versions of the episodes that are used. Well, like just I say unfinalized because they have like a timeline at the top or whatever you call that.
Timestamp.
Yeah, timestamps.
Yeah. Well, so but what it was basically, I mean, it wasn't anything crazy. Like everything in it, I mean, it kind of showed off a little, like a tiny bit of Infinity Train, Victor and Valentino, a little more Total Drama-Rama, Apple and Onion, I believe. Like it's basically shows that we kind of knew were in production, but it's just kind of like showing like, hey, all this stuff is coming in 2019, and really, like it's not really super substantial in and of itself. It's more just like, I kind of wanted to use this news topic to talk about this because Cartoon Network's got like 5 new shows coming next year.
They've actually done this for the past couple years where they have a ton of new stuff pretty much every year.
I guess that's true because this year we had what? The Summer Camp Island,
Craig of the Creek.
Total Drama-Rama, Craig of the Creek. That's a lot already.
Don't forget that Mega Man show that Cartoon Network forgot about.
Oh, right. It was okay. Oh, OK KO was last year. But yeah, no, I mean, that's, I don't know. Is this a good thing or a bad thing? I mean, I guess you got to think about like what shows are coming to a close.
Pretty much Cartoon Network's gotten rid of a big one and a small one over the past few years. Like last year, they got rid of regular show that had a big send-off, but then Uncle Grandpa came to an end, and this year Adventure Time had a big send-off, and Clarence came to an end.
Dude, Adventure Time ended? When did that happen?
I think it was like... Honestly, it almost feels like it happened like a year ago because
I know,
of
right?
how there was like a 6-month gap between episodes this year. I really wish they just finished it up last year. I know the finale was like completed last November, but I really wish there wasn't like a really long gap because that kind of broke the flow for me.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to hear more of me and Nick talking about this, they got a video over on his channel. But yeah, so I don't know. Is there room on Cartoon Network for all these shows? Is the question. Because so Victor and Valentino, Infinity Train, Apple and Onion,
We Bear Bears,
Teen Titans Go, Steven Universe, OKKO, Craig of the Creek,
Thundercats Roar.
yep. Right, that one is in there too. There's a lot of shows. A Total Dramarama. That's about 10 shows.
Yep. I think it was 13. That was the number.
Wow. Yeah, because if you include like Mega Man, the Powerpuff Girls reboot. I mean, we know most likely isn't continuing, but we still know there's episodes that are unaired.
Yeah, there weren't any new clips shown in the sizzle reel. However, there was like a big page of all the titles of different shows. They actually had a really cool font for this promo that may or not be final, but the Powerpuff Girls was on there.
Oh, Ben 10 too.
Yeah, Ben 10.
Yeah.
That's a lot of shows. I mean, could this signify? I mean, like, look, people have complained about the schedule nonstop, and I get it, but could this really be the sign that like Cartoon Network is going to focus heavy on the online component? Because you can't have that many shows airing new episodes and have like a balanced schedule. Some show has to kind of get pushed to online. Steven Universe,
right?
Not saying that it should only be online or whatever, but I mean, could this signify that this is? I mean, we know that's kind of Nickelodeon's been doing this a little more. Is that on the news this week? No, it wasn't. But we have another Cartoon Network news related thing that might have something to do with this. But I don't know. I think that this to me is like they're probably going to push their app a little more and maybe some sort of streaming service of their own.
Yeah. It kind of reminds me of like mid-2000s Cartoon Network where they had a stupid amount of shows.
Did they really though?
Yeah.
Like did they honestly?
I remember towards the end of the 2000s, they rolled out a ton of acquired shows, like around 2008 or so.
Like the Canadian stuff.
Right, but this is different because.
But by 2007 and 2008, a lot of the they had a ton of original shows that had been canceled by that point.
Yeah. Though I'll say for this, all but like 2 or 3 of these shows are completely original by Cartoon Network.
Yeah. But you got to wonder financially how does that work?
Oh well,
like,
I mean, you can see in the animation quality things are getting cheaper. I'm sorry, but right. Like it's a little obvious. People complain about the inconsistent heights in Steven Universe, but that is like see, Cartoon Network doesn't have layout artists, so that's pretty consistent across the board. If you look for it,
at least Steven Universe looks good. Like I'll say that.
Like,
you know, I know people go on and on, but at least it's not ugly to look at all the time. Like there's inconsistencies and there are ugly moments, but in general, maybe it's just because of the coloring, maybe it's because of the general designs. I don't know, but it's not like I don't know. I see tons of videos that hate on Steven Universe's art, and I don't get that.
No, the whole thing is they don't have budget to call retakes. So if there's like a small thing, they're like, well, we got to keep moving. So that's why there's a lot. I rewatched Reunited recently. There's coloring errors everywhere if you know where to look.
Really?
Yeah. There's an inconsistency with Yellow Diamond's eye where they don't know whether to shade it in completely or have a white iris around it. And almost every single shot it kind of changes. That might have been something from Lex from Here to Homeworld, but it's around.
To touch on what you were saying earlier, Nick, with Cartoon Network getting rid of a lot of these shows like Adventure Time and Regular Show, I don't watch the channel that much, so this might be a bit of an unsubstantiated generalization, but I feel like I feel like the channel is kind of missing like an identity right now. So maybe just the introduction of all of these shows might be a way of them going about trying to find that gem and just basically throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Possible.
Yeah.
But I don't know how I feel about that strategy because it does make everything cheaper, and it also is like more likely that some gem gets passed over, like Infinity Train. Okay, everyone was hyped on it, everyone was stoked for it, but if Infinity Train gets a bad airing schedule and doesn't pick up that audience outside of the niche diehard people that upvoted it, liked it on YouTube and got it greenlit, if it doesn't reach a general audience because of some, scheduling thing or advertising thing, it's more likely to get passed over just because of all these other shows. Like there's so many shows.
Right.
I don't know. I mean, I'm it's not the worst way of doing things, like, but I mean, how many of these shows, like, would I be looking forward to? I mean, definitely Infinity Train, definitely Victor and Valentino. Apple and Onion, I've heard good things about. I don't really know much about it, but I've heard good things.
I'll play devil's advocate and say that I'm looking forward to Thundercats Roar. Honestly, it looks fun. I don't know. People are making the show out to be way worse than it really is, and they got some talented people.
No one really knows what the show is the thing.
Yeah, no. Let's face it. Revealing your cartoon with a behind-the-scenes documentary. Here's how we make the show with very little footage of the show itself. Like, the intro is great, but the intro is always much more high quality than the rest of the show. So, I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. But it isn't. I mean, yeah. So what? Like, they got to air. Well, I guess they don't have. Well, technically, they do have to. They could air it in bum spots, like
6 a.m. Here we come.
Shadow's been saying is Powerpuff Girls reboot gets their new episode and then no repeats ever. But like they gotta finish airing Powerpuff Girls. They got more We Bare Bears. Got Steven Universe, Infinity Train, Victor and Valentino, Apple and Onion, Total Dramarama, Ben 10, Thundercats Roar, Mega Man.
Well, Mega Man's like been removed from their schedule entirely. I think it's just on the app. They didn't give it a chance, which sucks because the show's not that bad. I kind of like it.
All right, well that's actually a good transition because we have news that kind of ties into this. Monsters, you put this on here. You want to lead it in?
Sure. So I got this from a Twitter account called CN Schedules.
That guy's the best. Or girl.
No, it's a guy.
Oh.
So apparently via some crew members that were working on some of these shows, some Boomerang originals, I guess, even though they were made by Warner Bros., have been canceled. Wacky Races, the reboot, Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz, and Yabba Dabba Dinosaurs, which hasn't even come out yet. So,
yeah.
What do you guys think about this?
you know, I love talking about that Boomerang streaming app. I mean, it's like there wasn't a market for this. Like, who wants to watch some weird low budget Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz animated cartoon that you have to subscribe to Boomerang, this like niche service that you probably don't even know exists, to watch? Like, how is that profitable in any way?
I actually think that that and the Wacky Races show were carryovers from the channel Boomerang. They might have been moved to the app. Because I think, according to the tweet or the one linked to it, the Dorothy show went on for like 2, maybe 3 seasons.
Ugh, too many.
Did you even watch it?
I've seen a little bit.
All right. Well,
why do you like it?
No, I haven't seen it. I barely knew it existed. It wasn't promoted. So
yeah.
And with the Yabba Dabba Dinosaurs, I'm pretty sure that might have just been a test pilot that got that circulated around. I know that footage got leaked in like September, that was clearly unfinished. They only had the keyframes done, and people were like criticizing it. We also got a legendary image of Dino dabbing, which is still. I gotta start making a collection of cartoon characters dabbing. There's quite a few out there. We all know that I'm a big fan of Spider-Man dabbing, as seen in my thumbnail.
We know this.
Yes.
As seen on a
Mojo
Nintendo
Jojo.
thumbnail.
Yes, Mojo Jojo. Captain Underpants
Forearms.
hit the dab in episode 2 of his Netflix series. Monumental moment in human society. But yeah. Anyway, I guess that's
Really
why they call it
Yabba Dabba
Dinosaurs.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, like, I don't know. The Boomerang app. I'm still thinking they're gonna scrap it and just have a Cartoon Network app.
Another thing to note is that all of those shows were not actually produced by Cartoon Network. They were all done at Warner Brothers.
True.
Yes.
with the same parent network.
Right. Yeah, I know. It's weird how they split up how those are still two separate animation divisions, but all Warner Brothers seems to do nowadays is their properties, like they don't really trust them with CN. CN's like pretty much all their original stuff and reboots of their old original stuff.
Yeah.
I'd actually like to see Cartoon Network take on like a more established property because they have a lot of talented people in there, and given the right amount of time, emphasis on the right amount of time to develop develop anything, I think they could do a cool thing as long as they, it works out. I don't know.
All right, next week on CN, Batman Go. Battering Go.
I'm actually surprised there haven't been too many Batman shows recently. But
Brave
I
and
guess
the Bold was the last one, right?
Well, there was Beware the Batman, which lasted like 3 weeks in Cartoon Network.
I did not like that show a single bit.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. It was dumped on Adult Swim after a while, I think.
Yeah, Toonami.
Yeah,
I
And
know
then it got written off.
Right. Oh yeah, the tax write-offs.
Along with Symbionic Titan.
Oh,
classic.
But yeah, no, I mean it's no one's gonna mourn these shows. I'm sorry. I mean, they might have some fans, but it's just like the Boomerang app, I mean, even honestly, Boomerang in general, the network, it really does kind of seem like trying to wring blood from a stone. Like it's like there are lucrative franchises to reboot and to kind of play on nostalgia, and then there's other franchises that it's just kind of like I'm not saying that there's no market for like Looney Tunes or even like Wizard of Oz or whatever, but it's like you gotta put effort in and you gotta market it right, and you gotta know what's going on. You gotta know that kids are watching like Looney Tunes clips or compilations on YouTube for free, and they're not gonna pay for it. Why would they? You gotta be a little more lucrative than that.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty kind of disappointed in that because they have the Looney Tunes cartoons thing coming up, which is like kind of like the Wabbit kind of thing, but even more. I think it's produced exclusively for the Boomerang app. And
talking about new Looney Tunes?
Yeah, new Looney Tunes or whatever. The way they title these things is
named by
confusing.
Nintendo.
But yeah, exactly. That's exactly whenever they slap new at the beginning of something. I'm pretty sure that's a Japanese thing, actually.
Well, because at least with like the new Nintendo 3DS, it's new as in like English new, and then Japanese whatever. So maybe, but the Looney Tunes.
Back to Looney Tunes, yeah.
Anyway,
there's a ton of talented people working on the new show, the reboot, whatever, the one coming out next year.
Yeah.
Like I know the creator of Uncle Grandpa is spearheading it, and actually the beginning of spearheading, the beginning of Teen Titans Go to the movies for their Warner Animation identity, the little title card, whatever you call it. They had animation taken from that, and it looked great, but I'm worried that it's just not gonna get the spotlight it deserves.
Yeah. But there's no room on Cartoon Network. You can't put it there.
Yeah.
There's no room. There's no room at the end. All right. So moving along. This is pretty short, but I want to mention it. It's gonna be a Carmen Sandiego Netflix series. Yep.
I've seen the key images they put out on Twitter, and they look fantastic. I love the very graphic art design.
Graphic?
I don't know.
I mean, it is blood red, but no, it's pretty appealing actually.
It's very slick. That's a good adjective.
That's cool. I mean, I feel like Carmen Sandiego it's a property that has not been mined to death. And hey, you can sneak some educational content in there too.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how they're going to handle that aspect because I have seen nothing in the news for this reboot.
But will she dab?
That's the question I'm asking.
Carmen
Are you asking that
Sandiego.
question?
Sure. Is it? You're gonna start a new series called "Will It Dab"?
Will it dab? I do have to make a complete history in about a couple years. The complete history of cartoon dabs.
Well, Squidward
like
started
a dissertation.
Yeah, Squidward was one of the first. He was the original dabbers, and I'm pretty sure official SpongeBob social media has referenced the Squidward dab, so I guess it's canon.
I've seen SpongeBob twerk a lot more times in the past few seasons than I've seen him dab, though. I will say.
SpongeBob twerking has actually been a long time part of the series, honestly. You can probably find like a season 5 episode where he did it before it was cool.
Don't you try to normalize twerk. Yeah, but okay, if you have a butt wiggle before twerking, it's just a weird dance. If you intentionally do it after twerking is a thing, then you're invoking twerking.
Yeah. Powerpuff Girls.
Did you know that there's more than one episode where they twerk? They loved it so much that they brought it back in the sequel episode where that same villain from the Painbow episode comes back. They twerk again.
Oh.
It never ends. They loved it so much. It was just so well received.
Talk about somewhere over the Painbow.
Yep.
Goodness.
But speaking of things that were well received, did you guys hear about the news for the live action Sonic the Hedgehog movie?
Those legs, though.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Hang on. Let's take it a step back here. So, yes, there was a motion poster released for the Sonic the Hedgehog movie. And okay.
I'm sorry. That's just like a weird, like a motion poster.
I mean, yeah. I mean, it's not really that different from like a teaser trailer that's like 7 seconds long.
Except you can't see anything because there's no light.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the deal. Okay. So you have a character design for Sonic that is maybe not the most flattering thing. Maybe it's the sort of thing that it'll grow on people. Maybe it'll look better in the light. But why? Why on earth would this be what you tease? So, why would you choose to highlight this?
Yeah, it's so bad that a lot of people I've talked to about it are kind of in denial a little bit.
Yeah.
Some of it's coming from a good place, like the way it's presented. I would prefer that they just show us the whole thing because the whole pose itself is just not good. Like, it looks very lanky and it does not show off the features. We also don't even see the proportions, like how he looks next to anything else. It's just in a blue void. So we don't see. So it just makes all of his features just seem very, very human-esque in the worst way.
Like I'm reserving judgment for like how I actually think it looked. Like I'm not crazy about it, but I don't hate it as much as like everyone else seems to. I'm also very ambivalent about the Sonic franchise in general.
I mean, I haven't mentioned my secret plan to indoctrinate you into the Sonic fan base. Oh, I shouldn't have said that out loud. I'm sorry.
Oh, goodness.
I don't get why they just don't use like the models from the recent video games or like Smash Bros.
I mean,
if you take away the head, it looks like a little human. It looks like a child.
It pretty much is. It's pretty kind of disturbing. It just looks like a big mascot costume, but they were only wearing the head on the mascot costume.
And again, because they released it in this weird way, instead of just releasing a teaser trailer, because they or just a poster, but because they did this like weird motion poster, it just kind of like you just keep looking at it. Like it's in motion, but it's still a poster.
Yeah.
So you just you analyze every little section and you're like, are the ears like what are the ears too small maybe? Or like how does the head look? Like if they had just put a trailer, people would have probably been screen capping it, but it wouldn't have gotten as much attention as it did.
Right. And I just think they took way too much away. And this design is just super bare bones. From what I've read, it's not completely finalized. Because there was an interview attached with it, and I mean...
That's what they say.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully they'll maybe hear some fan outcry, but at the very least, I'm disappointed that they removed, like, really iconic elements from the design. Like, he's not wearing gloves. He doesn't have any socks. And the shoes, I call BS on what Tim Miller said about Sonic shoes. They're like, oh yeah, we looked at every single iteration of Sonic shoes.
I want the soapbox shoes from Sonic Adventure 2.
I can literally just go out to like Foot Locker or whatever and buy a plain pair of red sneakers with white laces, and they look exactly like the pair Sonic has. And yes, I agree. Why didn't they use the soap shoes from Sonic Adventure 2? Come on.
Yeah. Producer Tim Miller, director of Deadpool, said of giving Sonic fur, it would be weird and it would be like he was running around nude if he was some sort of otter-like thing. It was always for us fur, and we never considered anything different. Now, I think there's a great comparison here with Pikachu from Detective Pikachu, in that wasn't. If they had just put out a poster or a motion poster of furry Pikachu, I mean, he's already like slightly contentious. I wouldn't say super controversial, but there are people who don't like the design. But if they had just put a poster of that, I think it would have gone much worse. I think it would have been much more divisive than what they did, which was put out a trailer. We get to see him in motion. We get to see him talking. We get to see him in the environment, not just here's a picture that you can't see all the details, but you can see just enough of that you're going to be ultra critical of every little aspect. Regardless of how Sonic's final design comes out or whether it's good or bad or whatever, personally, I think this was just a terrible marketing job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, pretty much. Well, I mean, it's Sega, so what do you expect?
Yeah.
I mean, if their goal was to draw speculation, they achieved that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of it, one of my favorite things is people saying that, well, maybe that this isn't the actual design and they wanted some fan feedback, or maybe this is all a big joke, but the movie's coming out in 11 months,
a year.
So I really don't know.
No, it's coming out in a year. 19.
Yeah.
11/8.
It's like middle of November of next year, but whatever's the case, they have to animate all of Sonic and whatever else is animated, and that takes a lot of time. So,
are they done filming?
They are done filming with well, I guess I guess if it's okay if I plug the thing I do. I run a Sonic movie podcast on my channel.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Say that again. Just say that again. I'm just being sure.
I guess if you guys don't mind me plugging this a little, I run a Sonic movie podcast on my channel with some other Sonic related people who do YouTube videos. And it's a lot of fun. The sad thing is we recorded an episode on Saturday night, and then the news dropped, and then more news dropped. So we gotta record more. But anyway, it's been a lot of fun, and look forward to when we eventually cover whatever the heck the design is. Right now, I'm just like a little disappointed. Just like, okay, being a Sonic fan really just throws you through the ropes. Like, honestly, you got to be a fan of this franchise. You need to accept a lot of changes. Nothing ever stays consistent. There always needs to be something new, something different. And I just think the way they presented this, they really should have gone headfirst. Like it was what you said, Pieguy, about Detective Pikachu. The design was in the lighting in the movie. It was already rendered in, and that looks a lot better than just a still frame. We will probably get like character art for Detective Pikachu.
But that wasn't the introduction, and that's what's important.
Yes, exactly. Getting a good first impression and creating a good connection with the audience to show that, hey, I think we know what we're doing. And right now, I'm pretty nervous about the Sonic movie, because this is like the first official image that we're getting from it. Wait, there was actually another official poster released in theaters, which oh boy. So I saw this right after Spider-Verse. I was with a big group of friends, and we were hanging outside waiting for people to come out of the bathroom, and I'm like, I'm just gonna go do a lap around my AMC and see if they have the Sonic movie poster. And I did, and it was glorious.
To nitpick the poster a little more, I don't like the C in the Sonic logo. Is that always there in Sonic?
What, with the head?
Yeah, it looks like someone took a bite out of it. I understand it's supposed to be his head, but it doesn't.
Oh, no, that's for the movie only.
I don't like.
The funny thing is, in the Japanese logo, they put the same kind of head spine thing in, but they do it at a point where it like there's like a gap in where the nose should be, so it looks like his nose is just his muzzle is just huge and extending off. That's what we in the Sonic fan base like to call a snoot boy.
And then the other thing is, I believe, was this rumored or is this like announced that it's gonna be a fish out of water, like Sonic goes to the real world type story?
Well, I mean, it probably will be, 'cause Hollywood, but also they said that Sonic comes from another world. Fun fact, Sonic's World doesn't really have an official name right now. It's just Sonic's World. It was like Mobius at some point, but that's not canon anymore because Sega can't figure out what the heck the Sonic canon is. Apparently,
there's humans in one dimension and Sonic jumps between the dimensions, but also classic Sonic is not from the past, but he's from another dimension. And don't be a Sonic fan, please. Please don't be a Sonic fan.
Enter the Sonic.
Yeah, please. I really. Well, I mean, I'd take a fully animated Sonic movie in a heartbeat, just because everything you wouldn't have to these drastic redesigns.
Wait, hang on. The first comment on the IGN. I knew this movie had a 0% chance of being good, but it's funny it only took a poster that is 90% shadows to confirm it. R.I.P. Sonic.
Well, I mean,
ouch.
It did confirm that Shadow the Hedgehog will be in the movie, so, you know.
Oh, goodness. I mean, if I were to do this, I would do a teaser trailer of like a blue blur moving throughout the real world.
So here's the thing.
Like, yeah.
They did kind of do that in, I think, Spain or something. They had a closed Paramount press convention.
Really?
Yeah. And they were showing off footage for all these things. And there was a teaser trailer for Sonic. And they got a really positive reaction. It was just him doing a generic run through kind of couple of things. And they're like, yeah, his design looks pretty good. There was very little detail about it. So it makes me feel a little bit better, though, knowing what we know now. The proportions are off. I just need to see more. I need a trailer. So yeah, thank you for watching this mini episode of the Sonic Movie Podcast. I have like nothing to say about this.
All right, well, let's move on to the question of the week then, shall we? The Sonic movie, I'm sure we'll be following up on in the months to come.
Yeah, have fun with that, guys.
Yeah.
If you want to do a Sonic only episode, you can like compare it to the 90s OVA, which is pretty fun and weird.
Oh, don't worry, we're gonna at some point we'll do Sonic. Regular Sonic from the 90s and Sonic Sat AM.
Ooh, those are fun.
Who was it that was talking about that, Shugga?
Yeah, I think he was. I listened to that.
Yeah.
You all should also watch Sonic Mania Adventures, the YouTube animated shorts.
There's only so much Sonic I can
I still need to play my first Sonic game.
Just watch those.
Oh, God.
Like, those are really good.
Listen, I saw an hour-long review of the Sonic Adventure 2 from the Geek Critique. That's enough Sonic for me forever.
Oh, I love the Geek Critique. He's great.
He is pretty good.
Yeah.
I bought Sonic Adventure 2, but again, like I've still never played a Sonic game before. I think that's going to be my first one.
Yeah, start with Mania. Just play Mania. Adventure 2 is extremely niche.
I love the music because like I have a friend that exclusively listens to video game music. So like whenever we used to like drive together, he would just play like those really bass heavy songs and they were awesome.
Oh yeah. No, Sonic Adventure 2's soundtrack is pretty god tier. But let's get on with the question.
Yeah, let's. So from question regular Christian Gokin from our Discord server, join our Discord server if you want to ask us questions, submit news, or join the conversation about the episodes we talk about. He asks, he says, a lot of shows have a problem when it comes to tone, i.e. a mostly comedy show having a darker episode or a mostly dark show having a comedy-oriented episode, a wacky comedy moment immediately after a serious scene, etc. My question is, how difficult is it to meld genres that juxtapose one another, and are there two genres that can almost never work when melded together? This is actually interesting because I was talking about Wacko's Wish earlier, in that I don't feel like the Animaniacs, the three actual Animaniacs, not the supporting cast. Pinky and the Brain I think could pull it off decently, as can some of the other characters, but the Animaniacs I just don't think they work in a very serious context, just given the nature of them. And actually, last week was Bah Humduck. I felt like Daffy didn't do a great job of being a kind of serious character at points because of how goofy and comedic he was at other points. I mean, a lot like different movies and different shows handle things different ways. Like, I guess to go to another episode of the recast, The Lion King, it kind of throws Timon and Pumbaa the comic relief bone, where they're the ones that deliver most of the jokes and kind of have that lighthearted tone, whereas a lot of the rest of the movie isn't that. It's like you relegate it to those characters, so if those characters aren't around, it kind of flows a little bit more naturally. It's like, well, when they're there, you understand it's a little more comedic, a little more don't take things as serious, and then when they're gone, it's like, okay, the rest of the movie can have that serious tone. What do you guys think?
If you want a show that pretty much has darker episodes and is sometimes dark but has a comedy oriented episode, I feel like Adventure Time fits perfectly into that mold. How well it's executed depends on what part of the show you're looking at. If we're looking at let's just say season 3, I would say that's a very great example of flip-flopping back and forth between episodes with different styles. What did you say?
I said, oh yeah.
Yeah. Just that's one of the highlights. I'm trying to think of episodes.
Well, here I'll go to an example within an episode from season 3, I believe. Holly Jolly Secrets Part 2.
Yeah.
Where you have like honestly like one of, if not the most serious moments up to that point in the series, where you reveal that Ice King is not just like goofy weird guy. He's normal human that was intelligent and had a fiance and had a life that got taken over by the crown and just completely turned insane. And then immediately after it's followed by the Ice King being like, oh, you guys found out I wear glasses. Like, it's followed up by a joke. And that works because it's funny, but it's also like, it's uncomfortable. Like, it adds to the drama. It adds to the like shock twist, because it's just kind of like, you know, here's a character we thought was goofy and now he isn't, but he's still goofy, and it's just kind of like, it adds to things while still being a joke.
Yeah, I totally agree. And the rest of Holly Jolly Secrets, I personally, I'm not like a huge fan of the episode in general, but most of it is just a lot of silly Ice King segments and a lot
him
of
digging through boogers.
Yeah, no, it's a
like,
very silly episode up to that point, and I think that juxtaposition really works to show how broken of a character Ice King is. If you want a good example of when it doesn't work, let's mosey on over to season 6.
Oh yay!
Just because season 6 is like a how-to guide to not write a 6th season. Honestly, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm just not a huge fan personally. But one episode that I was just thinking about is Dentist. Finn works with this supporting character, Tiffany. And they're like underground in the weird Adventure Time version of Dentist, which is something with ants. And towards the end of the episode, Tiffany has a heroic sacrifice, and Finn like has a moment, and then he goes out, and no one ever mentions it for like 2 seasons. No one ever questions it. Yeah, it's not mentioned. It's like Tiffany comes back, but it's like, oh, hey, Tiffany's back, and then Tiffany's not there anymore.
He's reverted to his old character too.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like that moment is given the amount of time it needs to really sink in. It just feels Tiffany's gone. All right, that was a character I didn't really have too much of an attachment to.
Here's another interesting example of when I don't think it works. Gravity Falls, Weirdmageddon Part 2. Well, that whole episode. But one of the things is Dippy Fresh, where essentially Mabel replaced her brother with like a cool hip 90s version of him. And on the surface, he's just there to tell like bodacious jokes, and he's kind of like meant to be a funny element. But if you actually think about the episode, and you think about like, you know, it takes place in this big 3-parter that ends the series, and it's Armageddon. It's just kind of like uncomfortable with like, okay, so you put it in there to be funny, but like the actual implications here are that like she replaced her brother pretty fast. Like, Dipper's supposed to mean a lot to her, but he doesn't, because she replaced him with like this awful parody of him. And it just kind of takes me out of it, because it's supposed to be a joke and it's not supposed to be taken as a super serious thing. But in the middle of this conflict between them, and in the middle of this, Dipper has to prove to her that reality is worth living and like all this other stuff. It just kind of feels very out of place and like for the sake of the joke, but taking away from the story. In my opinion. You got anything, Monsters?
Yeah, I mean, well, in the example that the question mentioned, where it said mostly a comedy show having a darker episode, I feel like whenever I've seen that, I feel like most of the time the fans love the darker episodes of a comedy show. Just in most instances. It's
very love it or hate it. It can be.
But overall, yeah, no, it is very difficult. Kind of how I was talking about earlier with the Marvel thing. Clearly they have difficulty sometimes blending together their attempts at humor and their attempts at emotional development.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of other examples. Well, Family Guy is another example. Like, I feel like there are certain tones, certain
Brian,
things.
no.
No, not that episode.
What are you talking about? You talking about the greatest television episode of all time?
No. I was talking about the
saddest anime deaths.
Oh my goodness, the one with Quagmire's sister. They do like an abusive relationship story. No, I haven't seen it either, but no, but okay. I feel like there's certain things like I guess Daffy Duck is an example. Animaniacs are an example. Family Guy would be another example where you can have them be more serious. You can transition it. I don't want to say that like characters are static and you can never have them deliver anything with genuine emotion, but you have to earn it so hard because you establish these characters as off the wall. You establish jokes where the characters, drug each other and do all these awful, insane things to each other. And you establish a tone where that's okay because that's the kind of world and the kind of tone they're setting up. To transition that into a more serious, we're going to comment on the real world, or we're going to bring the characters into the real world. Not in the way Sonic, but in bringing the reality to the show. You have to earn it. You cannot go from her weird Family Guy cutaway to like, serious relationship abuse story. Like you can't go from jokes about Meg to serious story about like, you have to, there has to be a very good transition and there has to be a very good line in the sand and an establishment that the tone is going to be different. And here's why it works. And here's some genuine emotion of the characters. You have to make the characters vulnerable to sell the moment.
So I've seen like 3 episodes of Family Guy, so I can't really comment. But
really?
Yeah.
So what The Simpsons is to me is like what Family Guy is to you, and vice versa.
I guess so. Except one is actually good.
Oh!
I'm sorry. I'll
you.
reserve judgments.
I mean, both of them are kind of trash now.
Like 3
wait, one?
episodes of Family Guy.
I think you mean like half. One half. But it's difficult. I mean, what do you guys think? Do you think it's harder to go from a more comedy-oriented series to like a darker episode, or to have like a darker show that does a comedy episode?
I'd say the latter.
Here's one where Breaking Bad, a very divisive I keep saying it like that. Divisive episode is The Fly, which if you don't know, it's an episode that takes place entirely in the lab with Walter White trying to catch a fly. Like that's the episode. And this is a show where, huge things happen every episode and people are killed and there's hiding from various factions and there's, the world's going to end and they're going to get caught by the DEA, like all this crazy stuff. They have one episode where they catch a fly. And that's not to say that episode is necessarily 100% goofy, because it also kind of has emotional parts and does things in there too. But it's one of the most like split episodes in that some people hate that episode. They skip over it. They see it as filler, whereas other people love it because it's a change in pace. And that's kind of, I don't know. I feel like going from a comedy to having a more serious episode tends to play a little better than a serious show that does a comedy episode.
I hate this is off topic, but I hate the filler episode argument. Honestly, an episode is filler if it just wastes my time, if there's no redeemable qualities to it. It's if it doesn't move the story along, but it's still an enjoyable episode, then it's I wouldn't consider it filler. But going off of what you're talking about with Breaking Bad, I haven't seen the show, but I think it's because the show is so stuck in its tone, its usual tone, that any way it derives from that is probably not viewed as well, I guess.
I mean, the funny thing is Breaking Bad started off as a decently funny show. It was almost a dramedy in the first season. But it is interesting. I mean, I feel like...
What season is The Fly from?
It's the 4th season, I believe.
So that's like one of the last ones, right?
Yeah, the 5th season is the last season.
Yeah. So by that point, it had kind of established its identity then.
Oh, well, here's I guess one last thing I want to bring up is SpongeBob.
Ooh.
I mean, notably, I am more critical of Have You Seen the Snail than most. I don't want to hear it, Nick. Don't. You're gonna say something. I don't want to hear it.
How did you know?
Because I know.
I think I might have mentioned it on Twitter, probably.
No, because I knew it. I know it. But
it has every single SpongeBob fan you've talked to been like, I disagree with your opinion on Have You Seen the Snail?
Well,
because it sure feels like it.
Yeah. So anyway, I feel like sometimes shows like Have You Seen the Snail get more of a pass from people because they, it's like they have some emotional thing in there, whether they've earned it or not. And because some people, rightly or wrongly, go into comedy shows with lower expectations, for a show to do like even kind of sort of competent drama ends up being like loved. You know what I mean? And whether, most people probably aren't going to agree with me on Have You Seen the Snail, but regardless, in general, I feel like that's kind of the case where it's like comedy shows can get away with kind of lackluster drama, if only because it's different and because it's like, wow, I've never seen this character in this light, and it's, whatever, I like that. Whereas the other way around, it kind of feels, I don't know,
you're
it's
lowering
weird.
The expectations.
Yeah. Well, I would say the best, I don't necessarily want to say that. I think one of the best is Adventure Time in most seasons, is blending the comedy and the drama. But I think maybe the best one is Avatar. Just in that, you go, I mean, the episode right before the big finale is an episode making fun of the entire show.
Yeah.
Like but that episode, Southern Island Raiders, that's the name of it, right? No, Ember Island
Players.
You got every single word wrong.
I got Island right. But no, that episode still has drama in it because even though it comedically takes a look at Aang's journey, it still uses it as a way to show how far Zuko has come, among other things in that episode, I believe. It's used as kind of a refresher and a final kind of maybe challenge for some of the ways the characters have changed over the years.
But Pieguy, that episode doesn't move the story along in a significant way, therefore it's filler.
No, but yeah, no, I think Avatar is one of those ones that does it just masterfully. And I think honestly, animation has a big advantage because it's a lot easier to I don't know, to have like a visual gag.
Right.
Like you can't always have visual gags in live action as much because it's more static,
right? You got to get actors on set, and a lot of pieces and timing have to come into place,
right,
for it to work in live action. I'd say another show that does the dark thing is Rick and Morty. I go to the episode Rick Potion number 9. Which
I was gonna bring that up.
I would say, that's more built in to purposely be a contradicting dark episode. I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be, like, in production order, one of the first ones, or supposed to be, to set the tone. And I think that's very interesting, how they do that.
Very good mislead episode.
Yeah. Rick and Morty just is another master of that. Look, season 3 notwithstanding, I can go on forever about that.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. Just before we move on, just the one thing, that's right. Where I was going with SpongeBob is just that I think sometimes when it comes to comedy writers trying to go for drama, I feel like sometimes they still write it in a way that's like comedy, and I don't think that always. I mean, this is my criticism with a lot of the SpongeBob specials is that they're written like they're still 11-minute episodes, even though they're like 22 or 50 something. And I feel like that can be kind of a pitfall. It's like if you're gonna write drama, you gotta write drama, or you gotta write more serious, or if you're gonna do comedy, you gotta fully commit to the comedy. Not that you can't blend them, but it's like you have to understand that they're two different things that need to be treated differently. You cannot treat a joke in the same way you treat a serious piece of dialogue, unless that's the joke. I mean, but
right. Actually, going on to something I've thought of before, in a late season 9 episode, I think 2 Thumbs Down is the name. There's this comedy moment. What's it called? Is that the right name? The one with the thumb episode.
Yeah, 2 Thumbs Down.
2 Thumbs Down. I'm sorry, it's almost midnight. I'm usually pretty good with remembering SpongeBob episode titles, but you know,
I'm not.
Yeah, the Great Patty Caper, anyone? Still one of my favorite pair of episode titles. But anyway, that scene has a slightly dramatic scene where Sandy convinces SpongeBob to get back to using his thumbs or whatever. And the way the scene plays out, I can't tell if it's supposed to be a parody of like soap operas or a straight on like confrontation, just because of the way the scene plays out. And another contradicting opinion with you, I think Two Thumbs Down does work itself out in the end, but that's a very confusing piece of the episode to me.
No, you're absolutely correct in that it feels like it's a parody of something, but then like there's not really like a joke at the end of it, so you're kind of just left there like, I mean, if it's genuine, like okay, but it's not like, I don't know, it doesn't even feel like it fits right for SpongeBob because it's a allegedly genuine moment.
Yeah,
but
that scene also reminds me of the ending to Stuck in the Ringer, which is never a good thing. But it totally does.
All right, let's move on.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of SpongeBob.
Yes, very good, very good.
I'm awesome at segues this episode. Hurrah.
Yeah. So next week we have it's going to be our big Christmas episode. We have Shadow and Kuro back on, and we're going to be talking about Christmas Who and It's a SpongeBob Christmas from SpongeBob. And we're also going to talk about Goons on the Moon, which I've heard you. I understand. It's allegedly not a Christmas episode. We're going to talk about it anyway. Because it's still 22 minutes, has Santa Claus in it, was promoted as one. And, I mean, do you guys not want me to talk about SpongeBob? I mean, so
Ooh.
We're going to...
Wow.
Yeah.
Way to threaten your viewers. Okay.
No. I hear you. And the viewers are probably not wrong. I wouldn't put it past Nickelodeon to advertise it that way when it's not. But, I don't know. Seems like a weird, interesting episode to talk about anyway. So
I watched it this weekend. I won't say anything, but it's season 11. It's out there.
Mean, the main feature event was, we had always planned on doing Christmas Who and It's a SpongeBob Christmas because those are very similar episodes in a lot of ways, and I mean, I don't need to hide my opinion. You guys know that I think very highly of both episodes, and it's
but which one is better? Watch the recast to find out.
Both is never an answer on the recast. So, but all three can be. No. So the week after that, we're gonna do what we did with The Simpsons and tell you that because it's an episode that's gonna come out like right before New Year's, we're gonna do 2 Futurama episodes. Which ones are they gonna be, Monsters? We don't actually know yet.
You could do the pilot.
That was a trap. Well,
whatever.
We are definitely gonna do the pilot.
Nice.
But we could do Game of Tones. We could do Bender's Big Score. We could do Why of Fry. There's like 4 or 5 episodes that call back to the pilot in some way.
All those are really good too.
Yeah.
We could even do what is it? The first Tales of whatever.
Anthology of Interest. Oh yeah. Because it's got that weird segment at the end with Al Gore and the creator of Magic the Gathering or whatever.
Oh no. Actually, I think it's the second Anthology of Interest that does that one.
I think that's the first. It's the first because it's the last segment in the first.
Don't they do a fake out where it's like you think Fry's gonna ask for that and then he asks? I don't know. Anthology of Interest are weird episodes with weird wishes.
I wish they did more of those. They really should have kept doing them. They were fun.
I like the anyway.
Yeah.
That'll be in 2 weeks. So after all that, we have Simpsons episodes to talk about.
Yep.
You don't sound thrilled, Monsters. All right, I'll start us off. So the first episode we have is 'Tis the 15th Season from the 15th season, 15 years ago. The story of this episode is, it's a lot of things. Homer is a selfish jerk at Christmas time, and then he decides to be the least selfish jerk at Christmas time. And then Ned Flanders gets jealous of this, and then Homer kidnaps or steals all the gifts that Ned gave to everyone in order to one-up Homer. because he thinks that that's what Buddha would have wanted to do, and then they give back the presents. Okay. So, where to start with this? I guess I'll just say that the story is, I think, pretty kind of awful.
Really?
So here's the thing. Most Simpsons episodes start off like the first like 4 or 5 minutes are something like pretty much unrelated to the story. Like they lead into the story in ways that are sometimes like really clever, sometimes really direct. Other times are just really like, we're doing one thing and then we just hard pivot.
There are some
right before the end of the first act.
examples of episodes that do that.
Yeah, it was.
I'm not a big fan of that formula.
No, and they've joked about it every so often. Like sometimes they'll do a good joke about like, and then they'll pull back the first act element.
They'll be like, "Hey, didn't this all start out with this thing?" Yeah, to go off of that being an issue. I know Futurama in its early seasons, around the same time as The Simpsons was doing it, also did that first act thing. And I remember when I was watching through the series on DVD for the first time, when I'd skip past the intro, I'd sometimes skip past the entire first act, and I wouldn't notice anything because it felt like it was just kind of starting from there.
Yeah. But like, so what I'm getting at is just that like this, the main story in this is, I would say, is Ned Flanders. Homer deciding to be incredibly selfless, Ned Flanders getting jealous and trying to one-up him. However, that does not happen after the first act. That does not happen after the first 4 minutes. That happens about 12 minutes into the episode is when we first see Ned Flanders. He's not even in half the episode. And then he's there. Like, and then that's the focus. Like, but this whole thing has this like weird, like jumping from thing to thing where it's just kind of like, it starts off with the characters giving Secret Santa gifts on, later in the episode, Lisa says it's December 6th. So I don't know why they're giving Secret Santa gifts in the first week of December. It's not like Burns gave them off the rest of the month. We know that's not true. So we start off with that set piece, which doesn't make any sense. But then we move on to Homer sells the baseball card, and then they shop, and then Homer's discovered for being selfish, and then Marge guilts him, and then he decides to be like it just
that's all act one, I think.
It's just, but I mean, everything does lead to each other. It's not like it's like completely detached, but it's like this element of Ned Flanders. It's just like, it feels like it was from another episode that like they decided to write into this one because they ran out of things to do.
That's actually exactly what happened. I listened to the commentary and they're like, yeah, we had this idea of an episode where Ned and Flanders would kind of have this rivalry, and it came from some weird idea about Homer sitting on a billboard that they didn't really get into.
Naturally, obviously.
Yeah. And Fox wanted them to do a Christmas episode because they were doing a lot around like seasons 13, 15. I think season 17 has one, but and that's the way it went.
Yeah. And I liked the idea of that, like Homer, and I'm pretty sure they've used it in at least one other episode. Yeah. I mean, maybe there's the episode where Homer becomes really friendly to Ned, and then Ned doesn't like the friendship.
But it doesn't completely go in that the rivalry direction.
Right.
Though what I do like about it is Homer doesn't even, for a while, Homer doesn't completely realize that Flanders is trying to one-up him. He just does it out of trying to be a better person. And yeah, I think for a while, I think that's a pretty good, interesting idea for a while, that Homer is actually pretty committed to that change.
But like, it's just, the way things happen in this episode are just stupid. Like, I'm sorry, but like, Homer does like a really, really selfish, awful thing, as he's wont to do in the middle seasons. And then he's just like, I'm gonna be the best person ever. And then he does it. There's no struggle. Not a single struggle. He has, I don't know. There's no impetus behind it other than just like Marge is like, I'm going to chide you at inappropriate times. And then Homer's like, oh, well, I guess I got to be a good person. And it's like, oh, you can just do that? All right, that's great.
I do think that part of the episode is kind of bookended by a lot of, they do a lot of Christmas Carol parodies in this episode.
They do a lot of Christmas story parodies. They have... because they have Mr. McGrew's Christmas Carol.
Yes.
And that is just a straight up Christmas Carol. And then, and I liked that. I've never seen an episode of anything where a character watched a Christmas Carol, not was visited by ghosts, but watched it. And that's what made them want to change.
I think that's pretty good. And no, my favorite part about that is they followed it up with Lisa telling Homer that what you saw was a Christmas Carol and it's super unoriginal. Every TV show does it.
Yep.
And the Star Trek parody, it's hilarious. I love that bit.
Yep.
I loved the Christmas with the California prunes.
Yes.
Yeah,
they got
they got a stop motion animation studio to do that, and a
like a Rudolph parody.
Rudolph Rankin Bass type parody.
Yep.
Just for those quick segments. I guess and another interesting thing from the commentary, probably the last one I can think of, is that they actually did 2D animatics for those to use as reference. Yeah, which is interesting. So
that's cool.
I guess if that was probably like, just in case it didn't work out, those would have been fully 2D animated. But making them 3D and they look exactly like the source material. Really helps out. They did a great job on those designs that are only on screen for like seconds.
Also, because some people listening to this probably weren't born when this episode came out, the prunes are a parody of the California raisins. These were these they're stop motion raisins that were in commercials, and they sang.
I was thinking about that, and then I went downstairs like the night after I watched the episode. I got some raisins, and they're actually still on the packaging for sun-dry raisins or whatever the brand is, but they're like hidden very tiny on the back. So
weird.
Yeah, but they're not in ads anymore. I don't even think they have ads.
But I mean, so I guess to kind of really segments of this episode are good. This is a good episode to watch clips of, I would say. The highlight, I think, like, the Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol was pretty good. Homer's reaction to it was good. The parodies afterwards are good. But I think the highlight clip is the Grinch.
The Grinch bit is great. Not too big on the chloroform joke.
No.
Yeah.
It would have been appropriate enough to do it just on the teddy bear.
Yeah. I did because that is memorable. But no, the thing that the way that it mimics the animation of the Grinch is great, but the song is very funny as well.
Yes, Homer's singing that he's like kind of drunk while he's doing it. And I mean, like, but yeah, like that's how I feel. Like segments of this were all right, and there are a decent amount of jokes that I kind of like made me exhale air through my nose. Like that's about 15th season Simpsons, where it's like there's some like, oh, that was mildly witty. Like that's kind of most of the jokes, but then there were a few that I did really enjoy, like Unloved by Al.
Yeah, that's a good moment.
And then the Grim Reaper or the Ghost of Christmas Future taps on it, and he's like, "Oh."
That reminds me of the diet and die joke from the Springfield Files from season 8. But they're both good jokes.
Yeah. Also, the Moe on a Rembrandt joke. Did you guys catch that one? Where when they go shopping, there's like behind them is a picture. It's like a Rembrandt painting, but with Moe on it. And then the camera shows a different angle, and it shows that the top of the wagon is like put yourself on a Rembrandt, and basically the picture is like of all the people on the painting like standing far away from Moe. Like it's just like a weird esoteric Simpsons joke.
Right.
Like that's. And then also, I liked Margaret in accounting. like that's also just like what? And definitely licking Cheeto dust off of the Joe DiMaggio.
Oh yeah, with Comic Book Guy. Yeah, no, I will agree. There's a lot of good clips in this episode. Kent Brockman's when he talks about Homer on the news, holding people at nice point. Is the line. I wrote that down. I thought it was funny. And the corresponding image where Homer's strangling Bart, but Bart's photoshopped out and replaced with flowers. That's good.
And the intro line to that is Kent Brockman's like, Santa Claus is dead, or he might as well be because Homer Simpson is usurping him as the nicest person on Christmas.
I'm pretty sure that's like coming from an act break. So that's a good good moment.
Yeah.
But I will say I do disagree with you on the structure of the episode. Really? Maybe it's just because I'm not a big fan. I'm really not into the first act completely separated from the rest of the episode, because the way it's kind of built up, I will say there is no struggle whatsoever with Homer and the Christmas Carol, though I think it's kind of playing on the epiphany part at the end of A Christmas Carol.
I guess it's just like, I mean, like
it I think that part of the episode could be emphasized. Like there's the unloved by Al joke, which, you know,
the problem is just that it's like, what is the actual story here or what's the conflict until Flanders like shows up? Because like the thing is also Flanders shows up for a second, like wanting to bring clothes to the homeless, but like it's not even clear that Flanders is that like that could just be a joke. Like in the context of season 15 Simpsons, Ned Flanders showing up to give clothes to the needy and like it not working out, like that could have been a gag, and then the episode could have continued with nothing else to do with Flanders. So I don't know. I mean, I see what you're saying. Like it's not like things don't lead to each other. It's just like it doesn't feel like the episode knows where to stop on and focus on. Like it just kind of like keeps, and then like the whole like the Grinch thing. It's just like Homer gets this idea, but it's like, how did the writers come up with this? Like what were they on? Like
I'm pretty sure they just wanted to do a bunch of Christmas parodies. I did said I wouldn't mention it again, but that's what they talked about for most of the commentary. They were like, "Oh, I wish we got to do Charlie Brown because that's like the only one they really didn't hit."
Right, the big one.
And the Mr. Magoo Christmas Carol is an actual Christmas special, not something they made up. And they were like, they were like, yeah, that's actually pretty dear to their hearts, which is nice. Huh. But I guess that's a, you know, if you don't really get the reference, it doesn't land as well. Though I still think it's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I
honestly, it's probably funnier if you don't know Mr. Magoo, to be honest with you.
It's just weird.
Because you won't see where it's going, yeah. Like as soon as you see Mr. Magoo, if you know anything about it, it's like, okay, well, it's going to be, I mean, Homer says it. Homer points it out. He's like, you're always confusing things for other things.
But yeah, I think that this is a good, I'd say it's one of the more memorable season 15 episodes. I don't remember, look, I can't really pick out
what a qualifier.
Yeah. I can't really pick out season 14, 15, 16, 17, whatever that era of the show, whatever you have it, but I do remember this episode.
Pre-movie, I guess is what you'd call those seasons.
What post post season 10,
post good,
pre-movie, whatever you want to call it.
No. Post Armin Tamzarian pre-movie, or whatever.
I guess pre-movie.
I definitely lost
era.
Monsters with that
line.
line.
Let's call it the pre-movie Al Jean era because he was showrunner.
No. Like you could definitely do far worse for a Simpsons episode. Absolutely, 100%.
I think one of the things that makes this one stick out from the other Christmas episodes, maybe we'll talk about this more later, but this one feels a lot like a Christmas special more than some of the other ones, like Marge Be Not Proud, the one where one where Lisa becomes a Buddhist. Well, I'm just saying those are good Christmas episodes, but they just take place during the holidays. That's kind of a backdrop to it.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah, this one is firmly in the holidays. I think they've talked about that on some of the commentaries.
Because they probably were forced to make Christmas episodes, but they didn't really.
They were, but it was merely just kind of timely in some respects.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I just and like the ending, it's just kind of like, we gotta wrap things up. Like, so let's just wrap things up.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. It's weird because I do like. I guess in isolation, I do like a lot of parts of this episode, but as a whole, I just feel like it's really aimless and really just like things happen for no particularly explained reason other than gotta move the plot along. Like, also, can I ask, what is that thing that Homer buys? Is that a real thing? Is that like some sort of
astrolabe?
Yeah, the astrolabe. I really don't know. I probably should have researched it because I've wondered that for a while.
Is that like mid-2000s Google Home?
Well, I mean...
No, an astrolabe is like, it's like an ancient device that was used to like navigate and do astronomy. Like,
Huh.
I think just part of the irony of it is the fact that it's like a talking astrolabe, which is like the weirdest combination in the world. But everyone says that the Simpsons always predict stuff. This is basically just the Amazon Alexa.
Yeah. Well, that's very, very Simpsons to come up with this like weird, bizarre item and then make it like this like almost toy at Christmas time that Homer is for some reason fascinated with, that it's just completely random. It's like Burns saying ahoy hoy. It's like they dug really deep for that one. Monsters, you've been very quiet. As someone who's not like, I would argue that someone who hasn't seen much of The Simpsons would probably enjoy these episodes more than someone who has seen a lot of The Simpsons. But what do you think?
I thought it was okay. I mean, I'm a big fan of witty humor. That's clearly something that I love in Futurama.
Right.
And there's a lot of that in here, and I found it funny, and just little things too, like when after he buys the astrolabe and they're going to buy the tree from the bad neighborhood and they start playing country music.
Oh, that's a joke that stuck in my head. The parody of
Christmas Convoy.
Yeah, Christmas Convoy. I love that bit. That's one that also stuck with me. A lot of great bits in this one.
But yeah, it was okay. It didn't really hook me, but I didn't think it was that bad either.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. I guess it's just kind of like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, thinking about it, like, if I were to remember this episode, like, if we're talking years later, I would remember the Grinch segment. I'd probably remember the California prunes or whatever. Maybe Mr. McGrew. And, like, that's it. Like, oh, also, hey, I want to point this out. This is a bit of trivia I can bring in. This is, for some inexplicable reason, the writers around this time were fascinated with poking Lenny in the eye with things.
Yes. I remember. That was a very weird thing they did.
And that's where the payoff at the end is, with Homer like shoving the rounded cube in Lenny's eye. But it's just like, without that context, it's just kind of like, it's not I wouldn't say it's funny. It's just like, it's just weird. It's just weird. But yeah, so I don't know, I'd probably put this in the, I don't know, like, would you recommend this over other Simpsons Christmas episodes?
No. Honestly, there's even ones in the later seasons, like recent ones, that I would recommend over this one. Like, Holidays of Future Past is always one I point to.
Oh, yeah, that's the, if you look at the you look at the viewership numbers on Simpsons website, like in that season, there's just a huge spike with that episode. Like,
well,
because people want to see the future episode. Yes, it's the gimmick. And not that that's like, I mean, but I think it also is a pretty decent episode, or at least an interesting episode.
Oh no, if we're talking about best of like post season 20-ish, that's definitely up there.
What a
I like
sentence.
that one a lot.
What a sentence.
Yeah,
post season 20.
I mean, like, wow, the bar is so high for that era of the show. But did you know that was like a planned series finale?
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah, because there was like rumors around the time of the show getting canceled. What a wacky idea that is.
If only.
Yeah, we didn't, people were, I was talking about this with some other people back in July when the Fox Disney merger happened or whatever, which is still happening. I don't really know what's up with that.
I think it happened, dude.
Yeah,
I think
it happened. But, everyone was saying, oh yeah, Disney might say enough is enough and cancel The Simpsons. I mean, they're at season 30. But they're like, they made it pretty clear that the show ain't going anywhere.
Yeah,
so
are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Who buys out something that's so lucrative and then says, yeah, let's end it? Like what? I'm sorry, that's just such a ridiculous notion that it's like if Disney bought the MCU to put an end to it. It's like,
right.
I don't think that's why companies buy other companies. Like, I mean,
guy, did you know that Disney owns the MCU?
Really? Wow. I did. All right.
I don't want the kind of sass coming from you. That's very rude.
All right, dad boy. I'm sorry, Nick.
It's all right. It's 12:20 a.m. I understand.
Don't date the show. Here's a question. Do you guys get any Christmas spirit out of this episode?
No.
15th season.
I think the holiday special element really helps it.
Yeah, I don't feel particularly warm, especially not with chloroform jokes.
I mean, I first watched this episode back in like March. Not this March.
Appropriate.
First time I watched it was like a random month of the year, because I think FX was doing reruns, and I used to watch a lot of those like a year or two ago. And they would air random episodes, sometimes Christmas related.
All right. So let's move on to 'Tis the 30th season. So in this episode, essentially, Marge wants to give the family the best holiday, and so she goes out on Black Friday to buy the kids what they really want. Has a really terrible time of it because she tries to help Gil. She gets just like her hands freeze, her hair gets ripped off, like just all sorts. Her car's crashed. Just all sorts of things, horrible things happen to her. And so to make it up to her, Homer tells the kids that this is going to be her holiday. Everyone's going to put a smile and they're going to plan a vacation, have a good time. And then they plan a vacation. And of course, it's a terrible vacation, but they all have to smile and act like they're having a good time because they want Marge to have a good time for the holiday. Now, I'm going to come out and say it. I like this episode.
Whoa, really? This was the one you liked the more? All right.
Oh, I didn't say that yet.
Okay.
Yeah. No, listen. One of the things I don't like about The Simpsons running so long is that I feel like it's very hard for them to be genuine. It's very hard for them to tell, like, oh, what, you're going to tell another Lisa Homer story where they don't get each other and then they get each other in the end? Like, wow, great job. Like, it's very hard to do that. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure they've done stories like this in the past. Sure. But I felt a real connection with this episode. I felt a real story was told here. I felt like I can relate to that. Like I have family members that are a little grumpy at Christmas time because they're trying to put together a great Christmas for everyone else, and they don't really realize they're being grumpy. Like, I found that really relatable, and I found it so refreshing and nice to have Homer be 100% nice throughout the entire episode. If you compare Homer in this to the other one, like, Homer is awful at parts of the 15th before he decides to be a good person. And even once he decides to be a good person, he still does awful things just in the name of being good. Like, he shakes down Mr. Burns at the collection. But in this one, the conflict comes from the characters trying to make Marge happy and trying to have a good time. And I found that to just be so refreshing and so, like, in the spirit of the season. Is my
I mean, yeah. Like, this episode was pretty boring, but I think the story had a good idea behind it. Going back to what you said about Homer, I do agree that there was a lot of scenes that I thought could have gone south with his characterization.
Yeah.
This one moment where Marge is waiting in line for Black Friday and she's like, oh, Homer's supposed to come at like 3:30 a.m. to relieve me of my duty. And you're expecting, oh, Homer's just going to blow it off. But they do a nice twist with that. Not like the funniest thing, but it did seem better than just, Homer's lazy and he's going to go drink or whatever.
Right.
Which is totally a direction they could have taken it in.
And they would have in season 15, undoubtedly.
Well, I don't know. I'm not really sure when the point is.
Jerk Homer is mid-seasons. That's Jerk Homer.
Right. Maybe.
But I mean, Jerk Homer obviously is shades through the whole series. But
yes.
And like I was pretty hooked by the opening set piece. I found that to be a really like this like in the trenches look at Black Friday. With Marge gets screwed over because she's a good person and she does genuine nice things for people. Like it immediately endeared me to her character and made me care about what happens to her in the episode.
I agree, but I didn't find it very funny. You know, it wasn't very entertaining. Like, you know, you can have good characterization and an interesting idea, but like, I've seen the Black Friday stuff be done before.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, like, I don't know. After South Park did it, that's pretty much the definitive Black Friday episode for me, honestly.
But this isn't it's not a Black Friday episode either.
I know. I do enjoy how they tried to merge that stuff together. Like with they have like an advent calendar kind of wraparound with a few. They cut to in a few parts, which I think is a good detail.
Mm-hmm. No, and I agree
keep
with
everything
you.
Together. Actually, like you said, there was like that problem in 'Tis the 15th season where Lisa says it's December 6th, yet the holidays, the way everything comes around it's like Christmas, like 20 minutes later in the episode.
Yeah. And it's actually interesting because both episodes start on Thanksgiving.
Right.
And both episodes involve like new technology, DVD player, and 9K TV.
Oh yeah, no, that was something I thought kind of dated the episode. Lenny's gift to Homer is like Magnum PI season 1 and a DVD player.
That's in the 15th season.
Yeah.
But I think maybe they learned their lesson because they said 9K instead of 4K. 8K is a thing. 9K is not a thing. And we're definitely not at 8K yet, hopefully.
The Simpsons will predict 9K, you guys.
No, but
it's gonna happen. I can't wait to go on Twitter and see that in like 5 years.
I mean, 9K is possible. It's just not 16 by 9 and probably wouldn't look good.
Yes. But they picked a thing that's far-flung and kind of ridiculous because
we don't even get to see much of it. It's just mentioned.
Yeah. So they picked that instead of being like a new 4K TV or something like that. And I find it kind of funny how Lisa mentions about it being a smart TV because smart TV really means very little. It just means that it has Netflix on it.
Yeah.
Basically, you can get really, really cheap TVs that are quote unquote smart TVs.
Lisa says she wants it so there will be more than one smart thing in the family. Which that's a decent line, yeah.
I mean, the funniest joke I found in the episode was when... So they're in their little hotel room, and next door, there's like an abusive relationship going on. And Marge says that's the worst thing the kids could hear. And then they start making like kind of like lovey-dovey sounds. And then Homer goes outside and he's like, there's kids next door. And then they're like, there's kids in here. And it's just kind of like, I found that funny because of just how open-ended that statement is and just how like what is the intention of the joke? I don't think I necessarily want to know.
Right.
But it was unexpected. I didn't like, yeah. But I agree. It's not a very funny episode.
Yeah. One thing I want to mention, since we're still talking about Act 1, before I forget, is a really, really poor bit of animation, or at least it was poor in the way it was executed. Mm-hmm. There's a slow-mo bit when Marge is trying to grab the last 9K TV or whatever, and they, instead of animating slow motion by adding more frames to the movement, what they do, and it's very clear how they did it, is they only use keyframes, or they just slowed down the animation, and have fades between every single frame, and it does not look good. It is very choppy and not pleasing, and they should have added more detail to the scene, or just added some dramatic music to... Or just structured the scene in a different way.
Hey Nick, did you was I the only one that got like a little like sweaty when maybe that's not the right way to say it, but a little nervous when when the Simpsons are in Florida and they're talking about crocodiles or alligators?
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah, that's the last time the Simpsons went to Florida. Actually, maybe not. Shoot. They may have been there since then. I'm pretty sure they got banned from that state, though. Also, you can...
You're right. I'm pretty sure they did.
Oh, this takes place before then, actually.
Oh, wow. But Kid Rock was in the Kill the Alligator and Run, so I'm not sure how that Simpsons timeline's working out.
Well, maybe he was Adult Rock at the time. You don't know. No.
I see.
But yeah, no, that's... I kind of found that to be like, oh god, no, don't go down that angle. Like, don't even reference that, please. That's a very infamous episode.
I don't think I've actually finished Kill the Alligator and Run. Like, I'm pretty sure I started watching it, and I'm like, I don't need to finish it. So.
It's the Energizer Bunny of Simpsons episodes. It just keeps going.
It keeps going.
It does.
Oh yeah, but that actually reminds me of one complaint I have with this episode, which is something The Simpsons has been doing way too much, just looking at episode titles. This is technically a Simpsons Goes to Blank episode. Yeah. But the Simpsons Goes to Blank part starts like middle of Act 2, like 12 minutes in. Like if we're talking about an episode that has a Act 1 is completely separate from the rest of the episode, well, it sets everything up very well.
it feels like you could have done a separate Black Friday episode.
I disagree. I don't feel like it's a Simpsons go to blank episode. Like, yes, they go somewhere, but that's not the point of the episode. The point isn't let's experience the culture of Florida. They make some Florida jokes, yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, of course they're gonna make some Florida jokes.
Right. But like even like a bunch of a decent chunk of the episode takes place in Springfield, then takes place with them traveling, then traveling home, then at Moe's for dinner. Like I don't think so, and it's not titled like that either. I mean, I agree they do lay that on pretty heavy. Like right. I remember, I think like one of the last episodes I saw was The Simpsons go to Boston.
Oh man, that was years ago, but there's been like 3 or 4 more recently. Like last year, there were at least 2 within season. Maybe even 3 within the last season. I didn't watch it, but they've been really going to that.
But I don't feel like that was the goal of this episode, or that it has a lot of other things going on. I will say, if there's one thing I really didn't like about the episode, or I really like, I think someone thought it was funnier than it was the vice president's and Bart's like revenge on the lady. Like,
oh yeah, that was just like the most generic Bart kind of revenge. I was thinking, like he played it up like, haha, it's this big old thing, but it's like Bart does this kind of stuff every day.
Yeah, and it's like, what you're gonna do a Godfather parody? Like, really, really, like, oh, and he put why would she refund them? Why?
Yeah. Why would that lead? Did he just scare her so much? I mean, it's not like she could have just walked out of the room.
Yeah, dude, he vandalized your stuff. Bill him more.
Yeah.
Like, I mean that felt like a moment of like, ooh, Bart's so cool. We got to give him this cool moment, but they don't earn it.
Oh boy, welcome back to season 2, boys.
Yeah.
That's more season 1. They started to humanize Bart in season 2, but that's not the point.
How'd you feel about the shower toilet, the shoilet?
That was a good joke. I love how they had meetings in there, and they sometimes that led to one of my favorite bits of the episode. That was a little disappointing. Homer's line about I'm probably gonna butcher it. Marge being as happy as the saddest one of us.
Yes.
Which that could have been its own episode. Just that kind of ideology, which I think is really, really interesting.
And if
but they didn't do anything with it. It's just there's that one short scene afterwards where they're at the Florida amusement park.
Well, you missed the good joke with it of that everyone looks at Lisa.
And then that's a good bit.
She's like, I'm not the saddest, and Bart's like, polar bears are dying, and then she just starts weeping.
I feel like there's a point where you watch too much Simpsons and you're like, you get desensitized to some of these jokes.
That's what I was saying. Like, there's certain, like, because there's so much, there's more of The Simpsons than there is, like, any other show. Like, any other scripted show, any other animated show, surely.
Yeah, no, it is the longest running scripted show on television ever, I believe.
Yeah,
that's the record.
Unless there's, like, an hour-long show that has half of, but even still, I mean, The Simpsons has long seasons, but like,
right.
you cannot.
No, the entire reason why they have the record is because they do 22 episode seasons, which is like the most for any animated show.
Yeah.
Because they're half-hour episodes, and others do. They're like, if you look at any other Netflix shows or Adult Swim, they do 13 half hours in a year.
Yeah, the trend is going down as well too with episode number.
No, I'm so surprised they haven't switched to doing like 14 episodes. I feel like the quality would totally increase if they just had more time to bake these stories.
Yeah. So
like South Park did that, and I don't think there's like an intense difference. More just so the season wasn't broken up, but it definitely. I feel like the season it was just more consistent feeling. Actually, that's not a good comparison, but whatever.
Yeah. Monsters, what did you think of this episode?
Kind of like what Nick said earlier. I like the ideas that were targeted, but I mean, I didn't really find it as witty and as funny as the 15th. I did find the Family Guy Land jokes funny though.
Oh yeah, because they can't do Simpsons Land at Disney World because Universal owns it.
Right.
Yeah, I like that they went full force with it. And Stewie's saying, I was was like I was It Boy of 2006.
Yeah.
Rip. All right. I mean, is there anything else really to say?
I have some just general modern Simpsons complaints that I feel like I need to get off my chest.
Go for it.
So do you know about the tags? Like, instead of just doing 3 acts, and like not 3 acts, but just having every single, like, just there's like 3 or 4 commercial breaks throughout the episode. Now they have tags, which are very specific parts of the episode at the very end, which is like the last minute or so, where it's usually a non sequitur that doesn't really like resolve the main conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Those like break the flow of the episode so badly, and they usually don't have much to do with the rest of the episode. And here it just felt like, oh, remember that one thing from Act 1, we're gonna bring it back, but it wasn't in like a witty way. It was just like, we forgot about it. It generally felt like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like what they should do is, instead of having a tag, put the tag at the beginning, make that the intro.
That they do. It's called a couch gag.
Yeah. Oh god.
It's also called the best part of any given Simpsons episode in the past 10 years.
The couch gag in this episode was pretty lame.
Yeah, it was.
Tis the 30th season. I like the one in the 15th season. That weird, the anime one. That's quick and has nothing to do with anything.
You gotta pad it out, man. You gotta pad it out.
Yeah, they gotta pad it out.
If you don't know, it was a parody of the second Star Wars.
The scene in Star Wars Episode 5. Where Luke Skywalker's trying to reach for the lightsaber to kill the Wampa, but
they're in the living room.
And Bart, lol.
Yeah,
but they're just in the living room, not in any like actual setting. Like, you could have designed a snowy cave or something. I don't know.
And then Bart slices his arm off, and then he's like, "Merry Christmas," and it's just like, what?
Such a lame
like,
ending.
Yeah, I know.
What a bad couch gag. I'm sorry.
No, I do agree on that front too.
There's not like a lot of like outright boring couch gags, so especially now when they go all out. But another thing that is totally bugging me about modern Simpsons is the background music. If you
I didn't notice it at all.
Yeah, no. Okay, so this is another something that you'll only notice if you've been watching The Simpsons for way too long. At the beginning of the last season, they fired their music composer.
No.
Yeah, they did. This was, I think, Alf Claude and Clausen. Yeah, he got fired at the beginning of season 28, probably because of budget reasons. And they replaced him with, I think it's like a stock music company. It's not like an actual composer, but
I want SpongeBob music in The Simpsons so badly.
Yeah, me too. Man, I've gone through the production music of SpongeBob so much. That stuff's ingrained in my memory. There is
Curb Your Enthusiasm uses it sometimes.
Yeah, no, the Twisted World of Marge Simpson uses the Lion Man, which is the Merman Man and Barnacle Boy theme.
So does Lion King 1.5.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When they're trying
fun.
To break up Simba and Nala.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
But anyway, so The Simpsons recycles a lot of music cues, and like just for like dramatic shock and stuff, it has that very orchestrated sound to it. So when you don't hear that, like there's a very select version of the Christmas Simpsons music that they've used for the past couple years. So there's like a different one here, and it just throws me off. Same stuff like when I was watching the Treehouse of Horror, they had this generic Halloween music when they've had this kind of Treehouse of Horror credits theme. But it just bugs me so much when you have something so consistent for 30 years and then you change it. I mean, I feel like little by little that might start happening to The Simpsons. But yeah.
One more thing I want to know, just like in terms of similarities comparison wise, both episodes have Homer knocking someone out with trucks. Homer, I guess like the meanest thing Homer does in the 30th season episode is he drugs Marge to get her to go to sleep, so it's a surprise. It's kind of weird because she wakes up like halfway there anyway. Like, but I don't know, maybe for some cool visuals for a moment, I guess.
Yeah, no, honestly, that I accepted that moment much more than the chloroform, because it wasn't just a bit like, haha, Homer drugged someone. It was more like, we're going to make it do a little bit with it. So they fleshed that out. I appreciate that.
They should have gone with like children's NyQuil or something in the 15th season. I feel like that plays a little better than chloroforming a child. Like, I get what they were doing a parody of the Grinch, and so the Grinch puts Cindy Lou Who back to bed or whatever, but Homer did it Homer's way. But yeah. So they're both that. But yeah, I mean, they're both like, okay. I mean, I think the reason why I wanted to talk about these episodes is because they are very different approaches, where I feel like the 30th season episode, I like the story a lot more. I feel like it's a lot more heartfelt and relatable and genuine and Christmas. Like the 15th season has Christmas all over it, but only in like parody, not in like any sort of genuine, like, let's tell a Christmas story.
Right. Yeah, in the 15th season episode, there's a lot of, when they're shopping for Christmas gifts, there's a lot of mall jokes, which The Simpsons is fond of.
Oh, yeah.
And you could have stuck those in, the guy who wrote them was like, yeah, I'm the mall jokes guy in the commentary.
Goodness. But the 30th season episode is not very funny. Like, I will 100% give it that. And it doesn't have the flashy set pieces that the 15th season has. Like, I do think the Black Friday segment is pretty stand out, but I wouldn't say it's like super memorable or more memorable than the Grinch segment or Mr. McGrew or the California Raisins or whatever. So I feel like they are kind of at odds. I feel like if you were to like merge these episodes in some way, you could create like a super episode that would be great. Like, really, like if Homer's change for the good was because he saw that it was hurting Marge significantly, you nix Flanders from the plot.
And you replace the some of the generic shopping in 'Tis the 15th season with the more streamlined Black Friday stuff.
Right,
I think that could work out.
Yeah. All right. I'm digging it.
Monsters, what do you think?
Yeah. Monsters asleep.
I'm
You
sorry.
fell asleep.
Yeah, I am really tired.
It's okay, man.
Me too, yeah.
But I liked the 'Tis the 15th season more because I don't know, I just found it more witty. And like I mentioned before, I think both episodes were okay. Nothing spectacular, nothing great, nothing that convinces me to watch more of the Simpsons.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I thought that the story, the pop culture references, and the jokes were more effective in the first episode.
Which is funny that you think that, because the pop culture references are now 15 years out of date, but you still find them funnier than...
Yeah.
I mean, there really weren't that many pop culture references in the 30th season.
Right, no.
Family Guy.
Family
Guy. But it's funny because they reference something that's like almost 15 years old now.
Yeah.
Right. They make that 2006. They make that 2006 joke with Stewie, yet the 15th season was 2003.
Yeah.
So that's
if there was a real Family Guy land, there'd need to be a ride that's called Brian No.
Oh, God.
where you almost get hit by a car.
They should give away like free samples of something that's like labeled Ipecac. That's all I know about Family Guy. Yeah, you know what? The 15th season episode is better. I did feel something. Like, here's the thing. When I watch recent Simpsons episodes, I don't feel anything. And I felt something with the 30th season. Like, I did. And I think that's good. Like, I think that's great. But it's not, I don't strictly watch The Simpsons to feel something. It would have been great if they could have had some really, like, a lot of great jokes in here, as opposed to a few, like, okay jokes and maybe one or two really solid ones.
Right.
I feel like honestly, if they were to make that episode funny, I would be all for it. Like, I wouldn't really have much to complain about, outside of maybe the vice president's thing. And also, we talked about the vice presidents there, but just the Hall of Vice Presidents and some of the jokes, I felt out of date. The Dick Cheney joke, like, oh, that's topical. I mean, I guess it's better than doing Trump joke number 870,006, but it still kind of felt a little maybe like, Like, I've seen The Simpsons make fun of presidents and vice presidents a lot before.
Just watch the Citizen Kang segment from Trios of Horror like 7.
Yes.
That really, nothing gets better than that. And that segment still works, even though it's like rooted in 1996. It's still really funny because it's about the election as a whole.
But no, I do have to give it to the 15th season for having those really memorable set pieces and for being just a lot funnier of an episode. Nick?
Yeah, I totally agree. Tis the 15th season is the better episode. Funnier jokes. I think the parodies are a lot better. The emotional core isn't as strong, but I think it's backed up by just a lot of moments that really stick out to me. Definitely an episode that I would rewatch more before Tis the 30th season.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I think season 30, one thing I've noticed just looking at episode descriptions, I've seen like one or two other episodes, and one of them was the Trios of Horror. They've tried to stick closer to the family with a lot of premises.
God. Every time they do a commentary, they keep talking about like, well, this season we wanted to bring it back to the family. It's like
God,
they mentioned it for like every season, and it's like, well, what are you writing about then? If you don't stop writing a poo episodes, I guess. Well, now they have to, but. Well, maybe.
Who knows?
Move on.
Yeah. They really dug themselves a hole.
No. We've talked about that. We were good.
Okay, cool.
No, but like, yeah. I mean, I do have this thing where any episode I've tried to watch in the past maybe 5 years of the new episodes, it's just like I get halfway in and I don't care anymore. But this one made me care, and I will admit that it is part of my bias that like I related to the episode. Like I said, like I have family members that act like that, and like I felt it, and I really appreciate a good conflict that no one is in the wrong for. It's a conflict born out of genuine care and trying to do a good deed, which I guess you could also argue the 15th season is from, but I don't know, man. Homer's stupidity does not account for just the bizarre idea that he has of stealing presents. Yeah. All right. So, Monsters, I believe you had the trivia this week.
Yes, I do.
All right. Tell us about it.
So, as we already talked about, I am not that familiar with The Simpsons. But one thing I do know about it is that it's a show that has many, many seasons and many, many episodes.
Yep.
With that said, I'm not going to quiz you guys on that because there's just way too many episodes.
List every episode backwards in alphabetical order.
But one thing I also know about The Simpsons is that there's many, many residents in Springfield.
Okay.
So I'm going to quiz you guys. On Wikipedia, there's a list of recurring characters. And there's very brief descriptions for each one. So basically, Pieguy's going to go first, followed by Nick. I'm going to read off the description, and you guys have to guess the character.
All right.
Great.
How many questions are there?
There's 5.
Okay.
Neat.
Okay, number 1. A 3-eyed orange fish.
Blinky.
This is Blinky, the 3-eyed fish.
You're both correct.
Yep. Oh, that's easy. I don't even know when they name his name, but I just intrinsically know it.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
Actually, wait, no, it's from a very, very early episode where the power plant is poisoning.
Yeah, 2 cars in every garage and 3 eyes on every fish.
Right, yes. All right, next one, Monsters.
All right, number 2. Mob boss.
It's Fat Tony Montana.
Fat Tony.
Voiced by Joe Montana.
Yep, Fat Tony.
One of the few characters that's like not voiced by the main cast, but recurs frequent. They bring him in like once or twice every season.
Like Mrs. Krabappel with Marshall Wallace.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, was. Sorry. Yeah.
Wow.
Sad. I don't know.
No, that is good trivia. Continue, Monsters.
All right, number 3. Unsuccessful salesman.
Oh God, that could be. Well, I mean, that could be a number of characters, but I'm gonna guess that it's old Gil.
Yeah, Gil.
Yep, that's right.
Who's in both episodes, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, yep. Yeah, you're right. He's more prominent in the 30th season. But yeah. I did notice that. Yeah, that's fun. I think he was actually introduced. He's one of the newer recurring characters.
Newer, but he was in the 15th season.
He was newer as in he was introduced, I think, season 9, Realty Bites.
Yeah.
Where he's runs the realtor company that Marge works for.
It's actually kind of funny that like a lot of the recurring characters are the same in both episodes, like comic book guys in both.
Right, yeah.
And like voiced. Anyway, continue, Monsters.
All right, number 4. This one's gonna have to be because there's no context clues on this.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So you're just gonna have to go with your gut.
All right.
Actor.
Oh, that's I mean, what's his name? He plays the character McBain, but it's
I know the name.
it's a parody of it's it's like Rainier Wolfcastle.
Yeah, Rainier Wolfcastle.
Yep, you're both correct.
Okay.
Oh man.
I like how you thought that was going to be a trick question, Monsters.
Well, no, because isn't there another actor?
Well, there's Ken Brockman, but he's the
news anchor.
Yeah.
You could say Krusty is technically an
right,
actor.
yeah. Well, that's a good point.
Or Bumblebee Man, maybe? I don't know.
Bumblebee Man is a Spanish actor.
He could be a regular actor, too.
Where's my Bumblebee Man episode? There has not been one yet.
I want an episode about the really tall man.
Oh, I wanted someone to mention that. That's my personal favorite Simpsons character. I relate to him so much because I, too, am a very, very tall man.
Yeah, I feel short now. Anyway, other tall man in the conversation. Last one.
The other actor I was talking about, by the way, is Troy McClure.
Oh. It's your profile picture right now,
yeah.
Nick.
Yeah, on Discord, I have an image of Troy McClure. I don't know why I used that. I thought it was funny.
I was gonna say, are you preparing for this? But
no. I thought it was a funny image.
Monsters.
Okay.
Last one.
So the last one, I had hoped that this would be a bit more challenging. So this last one is a gimme. And I did this one on purpose to spark some conversation.
Oh, come on. Don't.
Owner of the Quickie Mart.
Well, actually, Apu sold it to his brother Sanjay in episode 3F4. No, it's Apu. Apu Nahasa Pima Pedalon, which is apparently someone Matt Groening knew had that last name.
That's such a great last name.
It is.
Yeah. For that reason, please do not remove Apu from the show.
You know that one Family Guy writer that has a really long name?
McFarlane?
No, there's one Family Guy writer whose last name starts with a C and then goes on for 20 letters.
I can't say that. Such a great name though. If you ever, I've seen people talk about Family Guy and have clips in the background, and I see the opening credits and I see that name pop up, and I'm like, that dude's got a great name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someday I wish to pronounce it correctly.
Right.
Wow, I'm surprised you didn't go for like Disco Stew or someone.
Yeah. No, I was expecting the Yes Man, the guy that comes into scenes and says yes, not to be confused with his cousin or a Spanish Yes Man. Also listed on the Simpsons wiki.
What about the Just Stamp the Ticket guy?
Oh, classic.
I saw a great video on that from
the real Jims.
The real
that guy.
Yeah, that guy's amazing.
I guess it's a testament, though, that either you guys really know your Simpsons or the Simpsons does a good job of making each character stand out.
I mean, you should have gone for obscure guys.
Yeah, really. I mean, I guess Blinky is obscure these days, but I mean, you could have gone with like, what's the biker lady? She was actually in the 15th season episode. Their neighbor. I wouldn't have remembered her name.
Ruth Powers.
Yep. There's Lindsay Nagel, I
yes,
think as well, the businesswoman.
Right.
She's more obscure. You could have gone with Apu's brother, Sanjay.
Who has appeared in like 2 episodes.
Oh, you could have told us to name Apu's kids. I couldn't do that.
Oh no, never.
Well, all right. Well, now I'm gonna stop just listing off Simpsons characters because we gotta go.
Weird flex, but okay.
Yeah, I know more Simpsons characters than you.
All right. Well, thanks for finally joining us, Nick.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Nick.
I'm so glad I could finally come on because it was a joy to do this with you guys.
Aw. Monsters, thanks for staying awake through the whole thing.
Yep, I try.
As in compensation for doing the Simpsons episode, that's why we agreed to do the Family Guy or the Futurama episode.
Yeah,
you really like Futurama, so
I love Futurama.
I'm leaving that episode up to you. Like
Futurama's better. Fight me.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, no, Futurama's better, at least because it ended.
Actually, Disenchantment or whatever that.
Disenchantment.
Disillusionment.
Disenchantment.
Yeah, that one's the best.
Oh. Controversial opinions from PIEGUYRULZ over here. Ooh.
Oh goodness.
Oh, the best Seth MacFarlane show is the Cavalcade of Comedy or whatever it's called.
What a classic.
I like the people with big nipples. That's the only one I remember from that.
Wow.
Okay, I didn't get that reference, so all I heard you say was talking about people with big nipples.
Wow, what a great way to end this recap.
All right, yeah. Thanks for being with us, everyone. All right, PIEGUYRULZ out.
NICKtendo also out.
Catch you guys next time. Out.